Welcome into the Cam and Strick Podcast, episode number 94.
95. It's
Peter Klima.
Damn it, dude. I wanted him with that stupid-ass helmet he used to wear, but he scored a big-time goal one time off the
He was my favorite player as a kid for like a couple weeks.
Why?
Because he used to tuck his jersey in. He kind of had the long hair. Looked like Yager a little bit.
I think he looks kind of goofy. He had that goofy-ass
he was,
helmet.
but he,
no wonder he's your favorite player.
He came in when there weren't a whole lot of Euros, and he just had flash to his game. It has some flair,
Wasn't he like late 80s stuff?
Yeah, and there weren't a ton of Europeans around.
Yeah.
So he just looked different, skated different.
Okay, Peter Klima, 95. There you go.
That's all you have?
Is that the only one? No, there's a Russian guy Kozlov. Was Kozlov 95?
Yes.
Yeah, Kazi. Yeah. He got fucked up by
Konstantinov was what?
He was
he was 16.
He was 16.
Yeah.
He was 16.
Okay.
Yeah, 95. Pat Falloon. Why do you keep singing?
I don't know. You say Pat Falloon every.
Why is he in
Why
my
do you
head?
say that every show?
Because he's a bust.
You're the only one that thinks of Pat Falloon.
Because I used to get his hockey card all the time, and I used to be like, "Fuck,
so embarrassing.
Who's this guy?
So embarrassing.
Don't worry, Cam. He's gonna be a bust." And another thing about Pat Falloon, there's a Rock'em Sock'em tape where he dives into the net and completely misses the puck, and it goes in from somebody else, and he looks at the ref and goes, "I got it. I got it."
Oh, he's that guy.
He's that guy.
Yeah,
so I hate him.
We talked about that.
And he's a
bit.
bust. Fucking first rounder.
Did you ever
first
play
pick.
with a guy who would try to cherry pick points off people?
Oh hell yeah, man!
Give me some names.
Well, it never really happened in the show. Like, don't get me wrong, but like in the minors, yeah, fucking some of the young
in the
kids.
minors.
Oh,
man.
in the minors, you could just see it afterwards. You could see it. You could see it after the period, and then some of the guys that come to the camera. Did you see the young kid? Did you see? Oh boy! I'm like, all right, we'll fucking talk to him. Like, we'll talk to him. Like, some of the young kids, I think I got that.
Did you wear a letter in your jersey in the minors?
In the minors, no.
No?
No, why is that funny?
Why didn't you? I mean, you were a veteran guy.
I was up and down all the fucking time. And I was a fourth-line guy. Why would I wear I didn't have to wear a letter to do anything, Andy.
Fourth-line guy in the minors, too, or no?
Yeah, in American League.
No PP time for you?
Nah. Mm-mm.
All right, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What's up with Evander Kane, man?
Okay.
Him,
Set it up and I'll break
Ryan Reeves. You had this fight card over the weekend. I'm sitting there watching Mike Tyson fight. I'm like, this is just crazy. It's like going back to my childhood, watching Mike Tyson in the ring. He's fighting. I didn't pay attention a whole lot to the undercard. Like, there were other fights that were going on. Didn't really pay attention to it. Nate Robinson, who I remember as a basketball player, played at Washington, I believe. Played for the New York Knicks. It's a little guy, like 5'8", 5'9". He could throw down, could dunk, and was a scrapper, man. Like, doesn't know how to box, obviously. So he's fighting against a guy who I'd never even heard of.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you've got like these hockey players who apparently are starving for attention. Now they want to get in.
Okay, let me break this down for one. I was called to actually fight one of these prelim cards, and I turned it down. I asked for like
on the Tyson card.
On the Tyson card.
And how much money did you ask for?
I asked for $100,000. I know they paid him a ton of money, but I'm like, I'm not doing it. I remember I was on the.
They paid Nate Robinson more than
$600,000.
$100,000.
I think it's like $600,000.
And they wouldn't pay you $100,000?
Andy. He played for the fucking Knicks. Shut up and looking at me like, you didn't wear an A? You're not getting paid. Stop. Here's the deal. I'm on the water, on a canoe, pretty drunk, sunburn out the ass, sitting on a beach with Kate. And I get the phone call from Eric Bolton.
The Merrimack?
On the Merrimack, yeah. And I get cell service. He calls me. He's like, you want to fight at the Tyson fight with some ex-boxer?
What's his connection?
He's out in Long Island. I guess a fight promoter. They're having a meeting. They wanted to get an athlete to fight.
Okay, they probably asked Eric. He said no.
My name got popped up. I'm sure yours did too, Andy.
Yeah, probably.
So they call me and they explain it, and I'm like, and Kate's listening, right? And she's shaking her fucking head like, no, you're not. No way. She don't want to give me. And Eric told me that it's it's a former boxer, and right when he said that. As many fights as I've gotten into, as many crazy, how tough I think I am, or whatever the case is, I go, fuck no. How long? We got 3 months. I'm way out of shape. I'm way out of boxing shape. Yeah, I know how to throw punches. Yeah, I box, but I hockey fought. I'm a hockey fight trainer.
You don't want to go fight a trained boxer.
No, he's going to pick me apart. He's going to catch me with one. I'm going to look like a fucking jackass. Yeah, I might stick him with one.
All right, so this guy catches Nate Robinson, knocks him out.
He beat the fuck out of Nate. Nate Robinson had no clue what the fuck he was doing. That was an embarrassment.
All right, so what's up with Evander Kane?
Here's the deal. All you hockey players that think you're so damn tough, all of a sudden you're so fucking tough. Reaver, Evander Kane, fucking what the goalie?
Robin Leonard.
When was the last time?
Leonard?
Whatever. It doesn't matter. He draws me. When the fuck?
I can't wait till the ladies have what they say about that. You called him Leonard.
Who cares? Let me know, Robin, the last time you threw a punch. Were you a former boxer? Because if I didn't do my research, I could get tripped.
He's a big boy, though.
I don't give a shit. Were you a former boxer?
He might have been.
Okay, fine. If you might have been, that's a different story. If you're not, and you act like you're going to beat this fucking kid up, you're out of your fucking mind. When was the last time you threw a punch? When was the last time you ate a punch? What are you going to do to him, Robin? Save him to death? You're going to make a blocker save on him and knock him out? What the fuck are you?
Stack.
Now let me move on.
2 pads stack.
Evander Kane. When was the last time you even had a hockey fight and threw a punch and got punched? Do you box in the summer times? No, seriously. Do you legitimately spar with other former boxers and do you go rounds with other former boxers? Because if you don't, this guy's going to kick the shit out of you. Reaver, you don't even know how to throw a left. You haven't got punched in 8 years. You throw 2 punches, the guy falls down. You're going to go 8 rounds with a guy that knows exactly what he's doing? You better have 6 months worth of training.
I just feel
that's
like...
it.
I feel like
everybody's so tough.
I feel like some guys... It's not even toughness. I just think people are starving for attention.
Is that why you're in the NHL making millions? What do you need this? Who cares about this guy?
Yeah, as opposed to... Hey, here's my advice.
Go fight on the ice
Instead
first.
of like negotiate like a fight with... What's his name again? Jake Paul?
Yeah.
Okay, instead of trying to negotiate a fight with Jake Paul, why don't you get involved with what's going on right now with the NHLPA and the NHL and try to get that done, okay? Let's get a season.
Let's get a season done.
So then you can stay relevant because you're actually playing hockey.
I know.
Where people know you. They don't want to watch you fight, man. They don't want to watch you get into a ring and fight, win or lose. They want a hockey season. So spend your energy trying to get a hockey season back.
Let me explain. If Jake Paul and myself had to fight like the Roman days to the death, I'd kill him.
Would you?
I'd kill him.
What's your
I'd
tactic? What would you do?
My wrestling skills. I'd put him in a chokehold and I'd choke him out because I'm strong.
Your wrestling skills.
So if he wanted to fight me right now as a boxing match,
you'd lose.
He's going to make me look like a motherfucking idiot.
Could he knock you out?
Fucking anybody can knock out anybody, Andy. Damn, dude. He could catch anybody with one. If he knows how to throw, the guy trains all the damn time. But I'm just saying, all these hockey guys are like, oh, no, you won't. No, you won't. Unless you really know about boxing.
Let's get down to the bottom of it, though.
God.
Okay, so Evander Kane throws this out, then Reaver throws something out to Biz and whatever. And I think Reaver's brother got involved. But listen, it's all good, whatever. But then it turns into Kane versus Reaver once again. Can we just settle this once and for all?
Whatever.
Like,
Yeah, I mean,
how do you want to see this settled?
Kill each other? I don't care. Just go out there and center ice and kill
fight.
each other. Yeah, entertain. I want to see you do that. I want to see you.
Tell your coaches, hey, listen, we're fighting at center ice.
Yeah,
Right
every
off
single game.
the draw.
Every single game.
Every
Buckets
night.
off. Then I'll be like, good job, boys. And actually throw more than one punch. Yeah, let's do that.
But they chirp each other over social media. Like,
and then they're gonna go box somebody. They're gonna go do this. So just worry about hockey.
You think back in the day, like Twister and Probert would go at it over social media?
No, but I bet you Domi would.
I
think Proby's just stoic. Twister wouldn't have the time. Twister didn't need a trippy.
Who's like a technical fighter in hockey that current or past, probably not very many current, but like total technical fighter who could do well in the ring that you could think of?
Andy, you could be the most technical fighter in the league ever. Darren Langdon, Niles, Chris Nyland. But if you don't know how to box,
what about your boy from the Islanders with the Fu Manchu?
Oh, Trevor Gillies.
Yeah.
Dude, he trains MMA and stuff, dude. Like, that's different, man. Like, that dude trains Mike Scroy, Yablonsky. Those guys are...
Tyson just trained with the MMA guy for the last several months.
Those guys are killers, and they're killers off the ice. Like, they'll put you in so many different situations. They know MMA, they know grappling, they know how to punch with both hands, they know boxing, they know kickboxing, they know all of it. Robin Leonard. When's the last time you threw a punch? Again, there's such a difference. So when you ask me what player, you have to have separate training than hockey training. That's all my point. Now, where hockey training comes in, like, I know how to throw a punch. I know how to throw a punch.
A hockey punch.
A hockey punch, but I know how to throw a punch because I trained boxing, so I know how to punch.
Okay.
But the style, like where to move your body.
Leverage, grabbing on.
Yeah, but I'm not grabbing guys on in boxing. My point is, I know how to eat a punch and I know how to throw a punch. But that's it with boxing. And that ain't going to give you get you that far, buddy. Now, eating punch, of course. But I'd have to train for 6 months, 5 times a week at Finney's for me to feel comfortable fighting a guy that's been training and was a former boxer. That's it. So all these guys, they think that they're not.
Okay, so you asked for $100,000. So what was the response? Did they counter?
Oh, Eric called me back and we just didn't do anything. So I don't know. I blew it off, but I just blew it off and then I forgot about it.
Did you ever think about it again and like no?
No, not really. I thought it was a big fucking joke, and I'm like, so Kate just wouldn't want me doing that.
No,
dude.
no.
I'll make my money other ways.
What's the point, man?
Money.
That's about it.
I know. So like $100,000 would do it.
I think you're shortchanging yourself at $100,000. You got to. It should take more than that.
I'd do it for $100,000. I'd do it for $100,000.
And what's his background? This guy Jake Paul.
He trains, man. Like I don't know exactly, but like the guy trains every single day with boxers, and he boxes these boxers every day in a spar situation, meaning like he's getting hit and he's punching and he's getting hit and he's punching. Like even like just sparring, like you have to spar consistently to know your rhythm and where you're going to get hit, and you're leaving your one side open, so he's going to come with a hook and catch you. Like there's so much technique to it that we're so fucking far behind. It's sickening.
You have a prediction of how this hockey season's going to go?
Fucking no idea.
Are you disappointed
at what?
The way this is
at
playing
Corona?
out?
You're goddamn right.
Well, Corona, yeah, but I mean the way that the players and owners are at odds once again.
I don't know if I blame either side, man. I don't know. I'm again on the fucking fence like a nerd. Sorry my language, but I look at it like
she's pissed
I know
at
she's
you.
mad at me. I'll talk to her at the ring, but I think that the owners are probably like, well, if we don't have fans in the stands, it's financially ridiculous. Like you cannot make this work. And the players are like, well, we can't just fucking write this all out. The whole sports world pumps up how nice the NHL is and getting things done, and look at this and look at that, MLB, blah 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 blah, and now you're tracked. So what is it? So I understand their situation as an ownership group, and then I also understand the player situation. Like, well, what the fuck are we doing here? Didn't we just negotiate this shit? Now we got to do it again.
Does any part of you say, if you don't want to pay us, then let's wait till we can have fans into the stands and just
that's
whatever,
what I'd say.
Don't play.
Exactly. Like if I'm an owner, I'm like, how many fans do we get? What's the deal? Not 25%. Is that going to cut it?
Well, you may be able to get fans. You may not.
And we're paying these guys, and even we're paying players like Vladdy, who's not going to play. Still, a percentage of that $7 million that just fucking bites the ownership group in the ass. Like God, it's just a weird spot, man. It really, really is. But again, what I tell you that right now, if the Blues are playing the Blackhawks tonight at 7 o'clock at Enterprise Center, and they said there's tickets available, they're $100 each, $100 a ticket.
Sell out?
Sell out in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes.
You think 5 minutes?
5 fucking minutes, they'd sell out. And I'm saying I would go. I would. I'm not saying I would do it. And if I had to, I'd wear my mask everywhere, and I'd
So to summarize, you don't blame the players for not wanting to give up more money, and you don't blame the owners for wanting more money.
And I'm just telling you though, but if they could have a game right now, that place would be packed.
Oh yeah,
I'm just saying.
Well, of course.
Well, my point is like they wouldn't be worried about COVID
in St. Louis. What about like in Carolina or something like that?
I don't know. I just know people in St. Louis.
What about Florida?
I don't know. I just know people in St. Louis, Andy. Like, good God. Hold on, let me text my buddies down there. Like, I don't fucking know. Well, I know the vibe here, dude.
Yeah. Well, here it would be.
I did it on my show, man. I put it a little thing. People are like, I'd go in a heartbeat, go in a heartbeat, go in a heartbeat, go. Like, yeah. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I'm not saying it's safe. I'm not saying I'd do it. I don't even talk. We could hide when we go, Andy, for the most part, if we wanted to, upstairs or what. We hide. But if I'm not mingling with people, I'm not going. If I don't feel comfortable with people like touchy-feely, because that's what you get when you go to you walk around an Enterprise Center, everybody's grabbing on you and shit. Like, I ain't doing that. But, I don't blame people if they would. I just wouldn't.
Would you have a problem being in there with 20,000 people right now?
I wouldn't go. I told you.
Oh, you wouldn't
I just said that.
Oh, you're not one of the people who would spend $100 to go?
Hell no. I wouldn't spend $100 for anything in hockey. Are you crazy? You get everything free, man. You fucking spend $100 on hockey. You're crazy, dude. No, I'd watch it from home. I'm not going to go again. Hi, Cam. Like, no, stop touching me. I went to a restaurant the other day. I was sitting down, and this guy, man, he was so fucking touchy-feely. He's grabbing. I'm sitting there at the fucking.
Where are you eating right now? There's a shutdown.
I'm not. This was a couple weeks ago. Okay. I'm not going to say, but it's the owner of the restaurant.
Oh, he was touchy-feely.
Oh my, Andy. And I'm looking.
No, that's a rule. What's the rule on this now? You shouldn't be touching.
Don't touch me. That's it. Just bow. You
can
bow. I'll bow to you.
Even if there's no corona, no touching.
He's literally grabbing my hands. My disgusting, sweaty, monster, gross hands, and he's taking them and he's comparing my hands to his hands, and like going, "Yeah, look, Cam, mine are bigger than." I go, "Get the fuck off me!" And he's touching my neck and he's comparing his
neck.
I get up and I felt violated. I'm like, I need a shower. I go, Kate, give me that fucking.
What kind of restaurant is this?
It's a really nice one. I go, Kate, give me your antibacterial medicine.
East side?
I go, give me your fucking disinfectant. I'm bathing in it.
Do they normally touch the customers?
Man,
when they walk in?
I felt violated.
This sounds terrible.
It's horrible.
Oh my God!
Look, grabbing my hand, like, look at how much bigger my hands are.
You do have monster hands.
But he's not only is that, he's bragging that his hands are bigger.
Did
than
you
mine.
know you had big hands as a kid?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Like your hands are so disproportionate.
To what? My head?
For your body.
My head's huge. My body's big.
How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot, dude.
No, you're not.
I'm 5'11", 3/4.
Okay.
I round up.
But your hands are like the size of like a 6'6".
Yeah. My feet are big. My head's big.
How big are your feet?
Big. 12. 12's pretty big for 6 foot. What are yours? 3 women's? Jesus Christ.
Oh, you cannot say that.
Fine.
You did it again.
3. I can't say that you have women's shoes.
Well, no.
They have smaller feet.
Because
that's not chirping.
Well, even Evander Kane, he called Reaver and his brother sisters, and then he had to apologize for that.
He did?
Yeah, he apologized.
Well,
for
he's
that.
playing in NHL. I'm not.
Well, and also he's part of like
I gotta apologize
a
for
group that wants to have inclusion for everybody and all that.
Are women not allowed to wear shoes now?
Well,
is that what you're saying?
You're saying I have women's size 3.
You have women's everything,
These are
Andy. I'm sorry. I'm not saying it's bad, but you do.
Women's everything.
I mean, come on.
That is just terrible. All right, little Chloe. By the way, you gave Ty a pump-up speech.
Did he shit kick anybody?
Appreciate that the other day. Oh, he was good. He's confident,
Right,
man.
good.
He was confident. Felt good about himself.
I worry about Ty eating kale all fucking day and not putting on weight. Do you feed him steaks? Because I know you guys in the Strickland household, it's kale, protein. Are you feeding this fucking kid meat? He needs to fucking eat meat sometimes.
He'll eat some turkey and some chicken and stuff like that. Yeah.
Are you cooking him a fucking tomahawk steak like my dad used to do to me?
What's it called? Like on the
tomahawk.
bone?
No. That's a rib roast, homie. I'm saying a fucking steak.
The rib roast.
Does Ty eat steak?
Oh, he'll eat some steak.
I don't believe it.
Oh,
tofu steak? He had a tofu. How was your Thanksgiving? Tofu Thanksgiving.
Who told you it was
You
a tofu?
did.
I said I saw one at a grocery store.
Yeah, and you bought it.
Who says that?
And you bought it. Poor Ty. My God.
He'll eat a
I'm going to have to
steak.
babysit him.
Dude, he'll eat a steak. Anyway, so
we'll see about
all
that.
right, my daughter, I go to her soccer game. It's just so weird. I mean, the times are crazy. 9 years old, playing in a competitive environment with a mask on.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
I know, man.
With a mask.
I like how people are like, there's a clip where somebody's like, put a mask on. I wear a mask everywhere. And so does Andy. We wear it everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a guy that's like, look, watch me run this mile and with a mask on. Nothing's different. I'm like, I can't even go down the stairs with a mask on. It sucks through my fucking...
certain type of mask, which I wonder if those match with they're more breathable.
Was
but
Chloe complaining?
But do they stop Corona? So I wasn't very happy with the way she played. I didn't feel like her effort was there. I didn't feel like she played as well.
Talk to her?
Oh, yeah.
Got to.
And she told me she could not breathe because we didn't know that you had to play with a mask on before. So she's just got like her regular mask that she takes to school or whatever.
But it's god awful.
It's not like a paper mask.
Sucking through.
It has like stars on it and whatever. But she couldn't breathe on it. She couldn't breathe with it.
Because if it's not the plastic where it sticks out automatically, you can't. Then you suck it through your nose and your mouth. Like the poor girl.
No,
oh my
it was
God, she's
terrible.
probably like, I don't have any energy.
I know.
And then you get down on yourself. So did you pump her up a little bit on the way
Oh
home?
yeah.
Say, don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all right.
I said we're gonna get you a new mask.
Look, if she's out there with no mask and she's picking leaves in the middle of the field, not contributing, then you got to get on her. On the way
she
home.
doesn't do that.
But yeah,
and that wouldn't be tolerated on her team either. You can't do that.
Okay, you get my drift though. But she can't breathe. You got to give her the benefit of the doubt on that, Andy.
No, I do. I do.
Okay, cool.
I do.
That's all.
But it was like my brother was in town the first time that he went and saw her play. And just,
yeah. No, that's all right.
She wasn't feeling it.
But
it was just such an awkward environment to watch these kids running around with masks on.
Like, God damn, you see them struggle.
What
are we doing? They need different. If they have to do that, then get them the good kind.
Then you know what? Hey, listen, the program, the team, supply the masks that they should wear.
I know.
Give them like a mask they can breathe in. But the breathable masks, do they actually prevent you from getting corona? That's the question.
Andy, does any of them?
It's like, here, try this mask.
Do any of them do?
You can breathe in this one, but it won't protect you from corona.
I don't know, man. I just do it.
You got your Crown Royal mask.
I got my Crown Royal mask.
Have you washed that thing
Yes,
yet?
Kate does it all for me. I got some people send me masks in the mail. They usually don't fit my big fucking head, so I use this one. But I walk around like, I'm like, fuck. Take it out of my goddamn mouth because you breathe in heavy. It's like,
it's
anyway.
serious.
But I do it, and you know I get it. So whatever.
All right,
Jesus
Doug Armstrong's
Christ.
on this edition of the Cam and Strick Podcast. Stanley Cup winning general manager. Great to have him on, man. In person too. Good conversation. We social distance for the interview.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to get his insight, man. Very, very smart hockey man, you know?
Damn right he is. Big, intimidating guy.
When you played, when he was managing,
I wasn't there long enough to understand his power yet and what he did. It was right when I left is when he started really turning things.
Had he taken over, though, already?
I think so. God, my memory.
Or was Larry still there?
I think Larry was a part of it.
Did you know Scott Mellenby was your coach?
Yeah, man, okay. I know. And Ed Belfour one time. I kind of forgot to. But I remember, I see Mel all the damn time, so I just can't correlate the two. Mm-hmm. But Army, I didn't feel his wrath yet on how he had a grip on the organization. Yeah. So I can't really tell. Mm-hmm. And he got rid of me right after that. So
all right, what impresses you about him after listening to what he had to say?
Well, he's emotional, but he does anything to win, dude. I mean, but not. So there's a balance, right? Like I don't like GMs that's get him, get that. There's always a balance, and I like it, man. Like you're gonna go fucking make a trade and get Ryan O'Reilly, yeah, hell yeah. But you know what? I'm not gonna give Petro that no movement clause at 38 years old, whatever the case. I like that, but he's gonna spin to the cap. He's got a great relationship with Tom, who. You know, of course, Tom Stillman, the owner, like I like how he brought Tom in the mix and said, hey, man, like I need to kind of know what's going on here. Remember he said something like that?
Well, no, Tom Stillman told him, listen,
that's what I mean.
I kind of need to know because I've got partners who need to know. Yeah. So if you're not going to tell me, that's fine, but I got to get somebody else in here who will. Yeah. I thought that was real telling, man. And you know what? Let me just say this, though. That gives you an idea of who Tom Stillman is.
Thank you.
There's a lot of people out there who think,
oh, man,
you know, Tom, because he is so nice and he's so kind, don't confuse his kindness for not being able to run a business and being able to get down to business when it matters and to be in control.
Thank you.
Because this guy is in control.
I'm glad you brought that up.
You know what I'm saying?
Because we see this firsthand because Tom is so damn nice. Mm-hmm. He's always smiling. He's always doing this. And I think some people around him.
Don't confuse his kindness for being like a pushover or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Shit, man. He doesn't wear his emotions on his sleeve by any means. Like he just kind of.
But he does in that box during the game.
Damn right he does. But I'm saying around other people, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not going to bring it up, but some guys just kind of don't treat them like they kind of should.
They don't know.
And I look at these fucking guys and like, you better fucking, I don't know, you better fucking settle down. Mm-hmm. You ain't shit.
Right.
You better fucking treat him like he's fucking the man because you know what? He is. And you're lucky you're even around here. Yeah. So just so you fucking know.
How about Doug Armstrong also saying that after they missed the playoffs, the year before they won the Cup, he considered resigning.
Yeah,
he almost pulled the chute and said, hey, I'm done.
Yeah, man. I mean, you go through a lot of emotion, dude. A lot of emotion. Being a GM, it's nice when you're running the high, dude. When you win that cup and you make some big trades and you're winning games, fuck, you're on top of the world. But once you fall off that cliff, boy.
He's on top of it. He understands how people maybe view him a little bit, too. How he could be a little bit intimidating. And I think he did a pretty good job of explaining, hey, like, let me try to soften it a little bit. Like, I'm not maybe what you think I am when you look and whatever. But, you know, like, because he does have that scowl on.
Oh, we told him
he turns red a little bit, you know.
A little bit?
Well, yeah, right. He turns red.
Remember, he doesn't go down to, you know, when your push comes to shove and you're backed into a corner as a GM, that's when you make that trot down to the locker room.
Yeah.
And I think Andy and I, we were both up in the press box when that happened a couple years ago. Or last year, a couple years ago, right? And you know, when I don't like looking at seeing
what
Doug,
happened
where he made the trip from the offices upstairs and he goes down to the elevator. And I just remember, I think I was right next to you when he walked by. We're like, oh boy, here it comes. Mm-hmm. You know, that barely happens, but when it does, and he walks in the locker room after a game, between periods, whatever the case is, you know that the player's like, oh fucking shit's going down.
Wouldn't you be the same way though if you were a manager?
Are you kidding? Yeah, goddamn.
Like if you lost a big game or if you just missed the playoffs, there's so much pressure on a manager nowadays.
I would be.
I would be the same, man. I'd be so tight. I mean,
I don't know. Business.
I know.
You look at what you do with this business. Look how you run this business. Tight ship. Everything's buttoned up.
I got to take the phone calls from the upset women, man, who are upset about your language.
You also got to take the phone calls from the sponsors too. Okay, so it's like they all balance. Is she sponsoring the show, by the way? Does she want to sponsor? Okay, then there you go.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Well, we'll see.
But you know, she might want to.
Well, when I talk to her one-on-one, she will.
She could. But you know, one thing else, man. I mean, you get to know some of these guys, you know, personally, whatever. You see how hard they work, and you see that, you know, a guy like Doug Armstrong, he did have to grind his way. It wasn't just handed to him. I mean, this guy was a traveling secretary doing tickets, all this other type of stuff. And then he learned under Bob Gainey. He mentions Bob Gainey all the time.
All the time.
And he'll always do that. He's got so much respect for Bob Gainey, as he should, who truly, kind of demonstrated to him and showed him, up close how to run a hockey team. And I think even when he came here to St. Louis, I still think he was still learning on the job a little bit. Like, he had a lot of experience, but he was still figuring out new organization and, how do I truly put my stamp on this organization and kind of run it. And that maybe that took a couple years for him to truly have everything underneath him to say, hey, this is the way it's going to be, under Doug Armstrong.
He's got a good balance of that, by the way. He doesn't. He's not Lou. He's a new age version of Lou in a way, right? Like, Lou knows he's shaving.
He's way more old school for sure.
He is, but he doesn't go the extra step to shave. Don't tuck your jersey in. But then he'll also protect his players like no other. Can't do interviews on this. Can't do this. Can't do that. I like that.
But he lets his players be individuals too, right?
Yes, exactly.
He's not going to handcuff guys and say everyone's got to act the same, look the same, be the same. Yeah. Be yourself. And I think he's got a good feel for the younger generation too, because like he says, his kids obviously being around the same age as a lot of these players, I think he has a good feel for who these guys are. But he's in so much control of the organization. I think that's the biggest issue. Like, you look at some of these teams that struggle around the league, and a lot of these teams spend to the cap. And you look at how they spend and some of the issues that they find themselves in financially. And we got a lot of Canadian listeners. And you look at a guy like Kyle Dubas. Listen, I've known Kyle for a long time. And
who's bigger, you or Kyle?
Taller?
Is he a small guy?
No, he's not small. He's like normal size, probably like me, like normal size. I'm like, I don't know, 6 foot, 6'1".
I'm not even going to say
he may be a little taller. I don't know. He may be a little taller.
I'm not going to be
But
rude.
all I'm saying is they spend so much money in signing bonus money, just the way they do business. I look at the Toronto Maple Leafs with these young studs, and I say, what would that roster look like right now? And the salaries look like if a guy like Doug Armstrong or even Lou was still there, if they were still there, how much would Austin Matthews be getting paid right now? And Mitch Marner?
I don't know, man.
And some of these guys. And in terms of how their contracts would be structured,
well, I think
it wouldn't be structured the same, man.
Well, I think the money will still be there, especially for Austin Matthews. And Mitch Marner, I don't know. I mean, he put up a lot of points, dude. I don't know. I don't know what you could do differently with guys like that.
Yeah,
well, we don't have an Austin Matthews on the Blues, though.
No, it's
you don't
different.
have a big guy like that. Even a Mitch Marner, really.
But I was thinking that too. Like
95 points.
Like I know. Listen, they've got their organizational philosophy for how they do things, but they've been able to do it for the most part. What if you had a Connor McDavid on your team? What if all of a sudden you did draft first overall, and you had a generational talent who was a Hart Trophy candidate and considered one of the top 5 players in the league, and this is the contract they wanted because all of a sudden they see the other big dogs getting these deals?
Well, you might have to grind it for 10 years like Alexander Ovechkin.
How would you handle that?
Well, some of these teams have big superstars like that, and they still find a way to win. I mean, what Crosby, what was he making? Was he making above and beyond anybody else?
He took less. I think the combination of he and Malkin, I think at the time for what the salary cap ceiling was
11
at the
and 11
time,
maybe?
I think, no, it's not even. I think he's in the 8s. Wow. Crosby's making.
Well, then you have to do something like that then.
But I mean, the salary cap was different, and I think the combined, they look at it. They look at it a lot of times. These agent based on the percentage of the cap that you're making. Yeah. Sometimes that'll help determine how much the salary really is. If Crosby got the combination of he and Malkin got like 18% of the cap or something like that, I mean,
but I don't think
you kind of negotiate contracts off of that.
Well, then look then, who won Stanley Cups with a big dog on their team that should be getting paid like a Connor McDavid. Mm-hmm. You got Pittsburgh.
But they gave Nylander big money.
You got Pittsburgh. Too, you got Washington, basically. Mm-hmm. And Washington couldn't figure it out for 10 years, and then all of a sudden they did.
Right.
Now, was Ovechkin getting paid a ton of money? I mean, he should. He was dominating.
Yeah. He signed a $100 million deal.
But I think McDavid, though, and Draisaitl, I think they're just on a different pay level than even Crosby at the time was.
The cap went up, and again, it's the percentage of the cap.
Look at the percentage,
though.
But look at that. We figure that out. You're the guy to figure it out. I bet you it's way higher. I bet you those two combined is way higher than when
Malkin and Crosby
when they're in their time.
It is higher.
Yeah, and even Backstrom and Ovechkin.
Although the cap is so much higher now. I'll have that answer for you next time.
That's a good one.
I'll have that answer for you next. Because I remember talking about
Can you win that way?
When they were negotiating Draisaitl's deal in terms of, the percentage. Because, his agent's like, listen, we don't take too much of a back seat to McDavid. Like, we're pretty good, too.
We're pretty good. I got 100 and something points. So it's like, okay, as a GM, like, how do you balance that? Okay, let's look at the percentage. What percentage can we still win games with the two big boys? What can we possibly give them to keep them happy, but still be effective enough to balance out this team? That's the key question. And apparently, Edmonton, I don't know if they're going to figure that out. They did with St. Louis, with Pittsburgh. They did it with Alexander Ovechkin down in of course, Washington. Who else has a monster superstar that's won cups that has a big percentage on the salary cap? I don't know.
But Washington.
I'm not a mathematician, as we know.
But that's why coaching's so important. You get a guy like Barry Trotz there, changes stuff. You bring character guys like Oshie. You just change your roster around a little bit. All of a sudden, you build a winner. Real quick though, your thoughts on McDavid's house?
Well, he's got my jersey hanging down.
He did. Did you like the house though?
I didn't get to see it all the way. Is it in Edmonton?
I think so.
Then I don't like it. I'm joking. Oh my God, they're gonna kill me. I'm kidding.
Now
I love all
women mad at you and the people of Edmonton.
No. Sorry. If it was in Saskatchewan, I probably wouldn't like it. I'm joking. No, Saskatchewan. I don't know, man. I don't want to live in Edmonton. I want to live. If I'm going to live in Canada, though, it's going to be Kelowna. I want to look over the water and stuff like that. Of course, you have to have a house in Edmonton if you're going to live there. There's nice places.
BC, right? Yeah.
But I like the BC area and stuff like that.
Me too.
Even out east, maybe. But I don't know, man. I don't know the house. It looked pretty white to me. It looked pretty blasé.
It was white and black.
I'm sure it's lovely. I mean, would I take it?
His girlfriend designed it.
What's the property tax on that bad boy?
I don't know. Shit. Pretty high, man.
That thing's like $2 million. It's been like $30 million in California.
He trashed his builder, though, in the different interview that I heard him do. He didn't like his builder. I know what that's like.
Yeah.
Dealing with builders, man, that's not easy.
Okay, I know.
Anyway.
No way.
All right.
Especially now.
So Doug Armstrong, man, this is like a must listen. I should say this is the longest interview that we've ever done.
Man, it's a long one.
I meant to do a really short open for
this. Do a short ending.
Forgot.
Yeah, you did forget. Jesus.
Well, you brought up you were upset about the women. We had to explain that.
Don't piss me off.
It just took me. That your message?
I don't like when women get mad at me. That's always been the case.
She's not mad. She loves you, by the way. She didn't say that,
I'm sure she
but she does.
He's irrelevant. I love him,
I could tell. And she didn't say you're irrelevant.
Yeah, well, she meant it.
Like, you keep putting words in my mouth. Anyway, all right. CarShield, they aren't irrelevant.
No.
But you might be if you don't have the protection from CarShield. That's the truth. We just went out there, saw their facilities. Unbelievable facility, by the way.
Oh, my goodness. I got lost in that.
All these employees, man, they've got a basketball court inside there. May have to just take the podcast over there to CarShield. 800-857-2481. CarShield.com. Mention the promo code CAM. You're going to save 10%. Even to those who are upset at Cam for how he talks on the podcast. You can still mention the promo code CAM. You're going to still save 10%. 800-857-2481. Get that protection today. Bud Light Seltzer. All the flavors. Black cherry, strawberry, lemon, lime, and Cam's favorite. Mango. So check that out.
It's my favorite.
BudLight.com. Have it delivered to your house in time for the holidays. If you're going to have a little gathering, 10 people or less, or is it 12?
It's 10, Andy.
10 people or less. You can have lots of Bud Light Seltzer. Get the ugly Christmas sweater packs. And make sure you take care of your guest or your family, whoever you're celebrating with for the upcoming holiday season. Bud Light Seltzer, unquestionably good. Bellman.com. Check that out. BEHLMANN.com. Get those used cars going. They want to buy your used car. So if you're looking in the garage right now and being like, man, how long am I going to hang on to this? When do I sell it? Now's the time to sell. And they'll pay you good money for it too, Cam. I'm telling you that right now. They'll pay you great money. Out there in Troy, Missouri, you got the Cadillac. I'm looking for that Escalade, the Cadillac, the Buick GMC. Cam's looking for that Buick Enclave, the pearl white one. Maybe the pink Jeep on the other side of the street. The Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. They've got those pink Jeeps with 2 doors, small wheels, soft tops.
My alley.
He's looking for that as well over there in Troy,
I'll make it look tough.
Missouri. Bellman.com, BEHLMANN.com. How about keepithandsome.ca, I think. Yeah, it's .ca.
Yeah, get that right.
Keepithandsome.ca.
Get that right.
Keepithandsome.com. That works too. Yeah. And the Fight Ugly hoodies, man. Tom Wilson just got his.
Yeah.
Milan Lucic getting his.
Shit kickers, baby.
So, again, man, and they're putting that in their flow, too, to make sure they smell good and they look good, they feel good.
Oh, my God. And the flow, they got plenty of that going on.
No doubt. Get that beard moisturizer. Get the hair gel. Get all the products that you need. Keepithandsome.com. Check that out and get that Fight Ugly hoodie in time for the holidays. You can do that now. Mention the promo code Cam and Strick. You're going to save 15%. So that's pretty good, too.
Very good, man. And we got some great stuff coming up. Cam and Strick apparel coming out just in time for the holidays. We got hats. We got sweatshirts. We got all kinds of shit. We teamed up with Victor Hockey, and we also teamed up with Fight Ugly. They're the best of the best. And, of course, the Fight Ugly proceeds go to anti-bullying campaign out in Montreal. What's that place called?
Yeah, the Montreal Resource Center.
Resource Center.
Centre.
So, yeah, Centre. So, look, all the proceeds go towards anti-bullying, and we've all been through that. I think Andy's the only one that hasn't got bullied. I mean, really, I'd figure you'd be a number 1 draft pick, but I got bullied. It didn't last long. I figured it out, but that was pretty rare for somebody to figure it out.
Did he know how big your hands were? He didn't know.
Well, he was I think he was like 17 at a time, and I was 12.
His feet were bigger than yours.
Yeah, well, he's 5 years older than me, just still stuck in 5th grade. But I know the feeling.
Actually, Danny Almonte, what do you call that? That pitcher from the
what do you do?
Little League World Series. The pitcher who was like 16.
Yeah,
like 11-year-olds.
Was he from like Puerto Rico or something?
Somewhere, I don't know, New York maybe.
But anyway, so look, this anti-bullying campaign, it's great, and even this, guys, some bullies, they might be a bully because they had fucking terrible childhood.
You never know.
You
man.
don't know. So like, it's
know.
never like one side against the other. Some of these guys I've seen in high school that were fucking just dicks. They changed.
They're great people now.
They're great people now.
Yes.
They changed. Their daddy wasn't there. Their daddy abused them. Their mommy abused. They didn't have a fucking childhood.
You never know, man.
This kid that beat my ass, pissed on me, he didn't have fucking any North County. I mean, from nothing. And he comes out. I told you, my parents take him out 2 weeks later at our house, and he's like, "I'm in fantasy land out here." So anyway,
no, Raven.
I know, man.
Raven.
Big
shout out to Raven.
Fucking.
All right, big shout out
Raven.
to Doug Armstrong as well, Stanley Cup winner, general manager of the St. Louis Blues, here on episode number 95 on the Cam and Strick Podcast. What's up, Army?
Not too
How
much.
are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me on, guys.
I told Cam that he can only 3 F-bombs
And I'm not going to say
during this
stop.
podcast, okay?
No.
So we'll see when we get the first one. Is the first one coming or no?
No, it's not coming. No, it's not. Unless we play golf back there, and he's going to.
Then there may be a couple.
Well, we were at Belle Reve the other day with a big tournament. That course is unbelievable. I think Army or Al they're behind me. I was so nervous. The divots I was nervous about. I felt like they were like watching me the whole time. I played really, really bad because of that whole reason. Not because I'm bad at golf, because I was intimidated by those two. Such a nice course.
How often are you playing golf?
I was playing quite a bit up until the last couple of weeks. The course was open. It was in great shape. With nothing else to do. The weather was fantastic. So we're going to probably 3 times a week.
Can you play every day if you wanted to? Like, if you were allowed to play every day, would you ever get sick of golf?
No.
Really?
No, I could go there every day and mess around and spend a couple hours. And I don't have to play every day, but being around there, hitting balls, putting.
The view.
Again, and talking to people and just.
I know. Well, that's what I like to do. I don't know if people like playing with me or not, because I just like talking the whole time.
I didn't know that.
But you go like on golf trips, though, like with a bunch of GMs and stuff like that, don't you?
Yeah, Kenny Holland sets it up. He's the director, but he sets up these golf trips, and they're a golfer's delight. We go to Europe. We'll start in Northern Ireland. We'll play there. So you fly in, you play 18, then you play 36 the next day. 18, go to the next city, play 18, 36. So it's 18 or 36 a day for 12 days. Northern Ireland, then you take the ferry over to Scotland, you play over there. And that's every second year. And the year in between, he goes to Bandon Dunes and takes a group of guys. And that's 36 a day every day. There's no rest.
How nice is it up there? Scotland, Ireland, and even taking a ferry over, it's rocking. The waves are hardcore. The wind's blowing. Like, it's crazy up there.
Well, it is, and it's a lot of fun. And I remember my first couple of trips. You get over there, and you're with 24 guys. They're all your age. And the first night, you have a few libations and a few drinks, and then you feel like shit, quite honestly. So now, as you get a little more mature, you stop drinking quite as much because you want to be able to golf. But it's a great trip. Everybody throws in a little bit of money, and Kenny sets up all the games, and he has a draft at the end. If you haven't made any money, there's a draft to who plays who. We have a Ryder Cup for dinner and drinks one night. It's a great trip.
It's the best. It's so competitive too, But you're walking the whole time, aren't you? Are you walking the whole time?
You're walking the whole time. Yeah.
Really?
So
Yeah, Andy.
You don't get a caddy
No,
or
not
whatever?
there.
Or you get a caddy, but you don't get a cart.
But
You don't get a cart.
you're walking 36 a day, and you got to actually, we're on a hockey show, but you got to toughen up your feet for golf.
Oh, my God.
You do. You get bad blisters and stuff like that.
Your
and,
hands, your back, everything.
It's a lot of fun.
How often do you golf during the season?
Not very rarely. Every once in a while, if we're in a good city and we got a day off, Panger he's always up for a good game of golf. I'll go with him. But it's just I don't feel comfortable getting away. Usually, you make plans to go away golfing, and then you lose 3 in a row, or the coach wants you around, or you feel like you need to be around. So, on GM meetings, we'll go and we'll golf at that group. But just traveling with the team, not very often. If we do, it's usually Panger setting something up.
When Panger sets it up, though, he knows he's good. So he gets all you guys. Does he bet with you guys? Does he try to take advantage of the situation? I can see him trying to take it because he knows he's a pretty damn good golfer. So he's like, come out here. We'll throw some money down.
Yeah, we'll play for a little bit of bucks, but he's actually pretty good about it. The thing I like about Panger, he's America's guest.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
He knows everybody, and very rarely got to dip into your wallet. Panger's worked out some type of, or some type of. Hey, you got 2 tickets for this city. Give them to that guy there. We'll get in here. We'll do that. It's Panger's great at setting those things up.
Tickets are a powerful thing, aren't they? You can get anything you want for tickets.
It's amazing, and obviously the harder the better the city, the team you're playing, and the more difficult the tickets are to get, the more they're worth. So yeah, you can. People don't know that the players get 50 tickets to buy on the road, but each manager gets 2 comps for every game. So when I'm not using them, or we usually give them to the players if they have family or wives in town or friends, or we need them for golf.
All right, so. What's your mood like during the season? Are you in a good mood? Are you in a bad mood? Is it all based around wins and losses? Like, how do you relax during the season? Can you do it?
Yeah, I find during the season I find it less stressful than in the off season.
Really?
Because there's a game the next day, and you just sort of roll with the punches. Like Cam was there when I was managing and playing, and your facial demeanor is what it is. People always say, like, man, you walk around with this scowl on your face. I said, unfortunately, that's just how I look. I walk around the house like that. So I hear that a lot, that I look angry and I look like I'm mad at the world. That's just sort of how I look all the time. But I actually enjoy the season. I like being around. Obviously, after a difficult loss or something, and you're walking in the room, just try and make a beeline to the coaches. The players don't really want to see the manager. There's nothing really to say to the manager. And quite honestly, as Cam will attest to, there's nothing for the manager to say to a player. That's a coach's job. So usually when I, as a manager, need to talk to a player, it's usually up in my office. I don't try and talk to the players except, hi, how you doing? How are your kids in the locker room? But I find during the season, it's because there's another opportunity to make amends very quickly.
But when push does come to shove, and the game, the season's on the line, things like that, there are times where you do go down the locker room, but it has to be like the perfect storm where I need to address the organization. I need the players need to see my face. I need to walk in there with the scowl or whatever the case is. That does sometimes happen, though.
Yeah, it does. I think you don't want a steady diet of going in there and having another crisis moment. The one year, I think we had to do it 3 times in one season. That's when we had to make the coaching change to Craig. Yeah. It just felt like it loses its luster when, here he comes again with all the answers, and so usually when you go in, it's pretty well a shot across the bow that someone's probably going to get traded or someone's going to lose a job if we don't turn this around. And it's not a threat. You're not threatening people, but just the reality of our business is you're here to win. You get paid. You earn your money to win. And when you don't win long enough, either the manager gets fired, the coach gets fired, the player gets traded. And quite honestly, and the players like the coaches like the players, management likes everyone. That's the last resort, not the first resort of making a change like that. And I know for myself, and Bob Clark and I have talked about this, when it becomes easy to trade people, that's the time to get out of the business. Like when you don't feel any remorse for jerking somebody around and making them and their wife and kids move, it's the time to get out. And I like even in losing players in free agency in the summer like we did with Alex, it's difficult. You work with people, you grow up with people, you see their families. I know you get to know their parents really well. And it's a really hard time. And we were talking about before, like a guy like Schwartzy. I met his mom and dad at the draft in L.A. They're at every father's trip. I remember calling him when we were in Boston saying, hey, here's the team credit card. Take the dads out. There's a bar down the street called Cheers. And he laughed. He goes, we've been here for 6 hours.
He was already there.
And we got your credit card.
Yeah, exactly. And we had your credit card.
You got it better. I got Jaden's.
Yeah. Yeah, you're way behind there.
Yeah, but so my point is you get to know these people, and it's not only just a work environment. It's the Christmas parties, the skates, the wives, the kids. So when it becomes just a business, it's time to find another occupation.
All right. Do you ever, as a GM, like Craig Conroy just told us a story about how Larry Plow said, hey, we're not trading you. And then all of a sudden they traded him. And Joel Quenneville said, hey, listen, it was my call. I'm the one that made the decision to trade you, whatever. They traded him for Corey Stillman, said they needed more scoring. Do you find yourself telling a player something, maybe what they want to hear to put them at ease, knowing there's a chance that you may end up moving a guy, even though you say, hey, we're not moving you? Like, do you get yourself caught in a situation like that?
I made that mistake once, and so I go back. I was assistant manager, and Darryl Ray, who was a great friend of mine in Dallas, does the broadcasting. We would drive to the airport together all the time.
So good on the air, by the way.
And he would talk about his experience. He was a fringe player for a while, so we get called up, sent down, and I just asked him, what's it like to do that? And he says, well, Army, the one thing you want to do, don't lie to people. Like, they can take bad news. You don't have to sugarcoat it. Just tell them what's going to happen. And so I became the manager, and our team, obviously, I became the manager because we weren't doing very good. Bob Gainey stepped away. Ken Hitchcock got fired. And someone who I consider a good friend today just looked unhappy all the time was Jamie Lagenburner. And I said, Jamie, this is the most exciting time of my life. I just got the job. Now, he had won a Stanley Cup and all that. He was down. And I said, you don't look like you're happy. Do you want to be traded? He goes, no, I don't want to be traded. I said, well, good. I won't trade you then. But I need you to help me change this environment. Well, 3 weeks later, we traded him. And so what I thought I said to him in my mind was, if you don't want to be traded, I'm not going to shop you around. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up trading to Jersey with Joe Nieuwendyk for a first-round pick and Jason Arnott. And it was like, yeah, you're not going to trade me. That lasted like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's, well, now.
He was grumpy in Jersey too, by the way. I'll just let you know.
I'm talking 18 years later, and I think about that all the time when that gets brought up. So I never say, I'll never trade you again. Now I'll say, it's not our intention to do that. Unless you're asking for that opportunity. Like we had Brian Elliott, we went on a great run. He wanted to be the number one, and he wanted that title walking into camp, and he said, if I can't have it, can you trade me? And I said, yeah, we'll look around. No, there's no guarantee. If we don't get what we want, you're coming back.
Yep.
We ended up trading for a high second-round pick, was Jordan Kyrou, So those ones you try and help a player out if he doesn't want to be there. But there's been lots of guys that have said, can you trade me? And I'll say, I'll try. And 6 years later, they're still there, and they're probably just as happy it didn't work out. But, getting back to the original question, I made that mistake once telling someone I wasn't going to do something, and that was the dumbest thing I've ever done, and I've tried not to repeat it.
Yeah.
What about when there's rumors floating around everywhere? Now you can't get away from them. I mean, they're all over social media and all over, obviously the networks, specifically up in Canada. Does a player come to you and say, hey, man, why is my name being floated around in trade rumors? Are you looking to move me? Like, will they come and ask you?
I've never had anyone come ask me that. Again, my relationship with the players is more of an arm's length. I try and be polite to them, but I'm not their friends. Like we don't socialize together a lot. We don't do a lot of things. So I don't want to say you want, I don't want them to fear me, mm-hmm. but I also don't want them to feel comfortable. They can come up and tell me how to do my job or expect me to tell them how I'm going to do my job. More importantly,
interesting.
So when I haven't had that happen to me.
Wow, so it's not like an open door policy where guys just are just coming in and out of your office. Army, what's going on? Am I getting moved?
Army, why didn't I play last night? What happened?
Well, and I've had people tell me this about you, that you purposely try not to get too emotionally connected with players. So in the event you do have to move a player or move on from a player, where emotionally it doesn't overcome what's best for the team. Is that accurate?
I hope not, because I do want to get an emotional connection to their families and to those other things, but but that has to stop when I start doing my job. Mm-hmm. So I would do anything for I hope the players would know that I would do anything for them and their family at any time, but I have to do my hockey job. But if they have something wrong with their family, their kids, how can we help out? What can we do? So you want to have an emotional connection. I don't want it to be where they don't trust you, they don't believe in you, but they have to know that I have a job to do.
No, I completely understand that. So what's it like on a daily basis, though? Like, when do you have to have a meeting with everybody where everybody needs to know something's on your mind, things are going in a weird spot, you got to nip it in the bud right off the bat? I mean, do you have meetings with the full staff all the time? Like, how does that work?
And you're talking players included, or
no,
just
no
yeah,
players.
So, yeah,
I'm talking,
So the coaches, I'll go down and I try and just work with the head coach.
Okay.
certainly when things are going poorly, I try and talk mostly to the head coach and not the assistants, because they pick up the vibe that I'm feeling. Or if it's and what I like about a head coach, I can say crazy things like try this, try that, and he puts it through the sifter and he throws out the garbage, and there might be a nugget or two go through. But I remember as assistant manager when Bob Gainey spoke, you didn't take it as direction, but you just didn't dismiss it. Well, that was stupid.
Yeah.
And so I try not to talk like that in front of the assistant coaches as much as I do the head coach. Now, sometimes, like, we go out for dinners and we'll talk about all sorts of things. And I really like having our assistant coaches involved because they know they have a real pulse on the players. And I try and surround myself with people that have a good governor. So I know Steve Ott's got a great governor. And I know I'm getting to know Monty. It looks like he does, Mike Van Ryan. So they can hear things, and I know they're not going to repeat them. And they can hear things from players and not repeat those things to me, but they can find out what I need to know and what they need to know and deliver that message. And now, and Cam, as being in the room, if you have an assistant manager, assistant coach that you can't trust, you're not going to talk to him.
Not at all.
You'll never talk to him because you're going, well, I don't know where this is going to go.
Wow.
And I think our players have a great belief. They have the same belief in Ott and Van Ryan that I do, that they can talk openly knowing that they trust their ability to understand what's emotion, what's real, what can help me, and what's going to only hurt the situation.
Will you tell another GM, if this gets out, this deal's off the table, we're not talking about it? And if you're talking to another GM about moving X player, will you tell the rest of your staff that's in the office, will you tell your assistant GMs, hey, here's who I'm talking to, this is what I'm looking at doing? Or are you keeping that completely close to the vest?
Sort of work in percentages.
Yeah.
Like, I'll bring in so we're talking with our pro scouts. So I'll say, what are your ideas? What are you thinking? They'll throw something out there, and I may call that guy and say, what's going on? Would you ever consider doing this? Like, everyone has great ideas. They got great opinions, but they very rarely are. Like what I'll say to our pro scouts, that's a great trade for us, but how's it good for that team? Well, it's not. Like, okay, then I'm not. You make the call.
Shit.
You call and tell you want Crosby for a fourth.
Yeah, right.
I'm not making
That was a
call.
fourth-round pick, by the way. Just so you know.
So you work with your staff in areas like that.
What about firing a coach? How tough is that?
That's very difficult for me because those are people you have that intimate relationship with. You travel with them every day. You talk to them, if not every day, through 2 of every 3 days. That's including the summer. You want to make it work out, but it's sort of like trading a player. You have to know when it's the right thing for the organization. And something I've said to Mr. Stillman, and I probably leave it in the coaching thing, I said, Tom, if you ever get to the point where you got to fire me and you're worried you don't want to fire me because I might not get another job, you've answered your question. Get rid of me quick.
Right.
Because if you're the only guy that's going to have me work in this league, you got the wrong guy. So when you have to make a decision with a guy like Ken Hitchcock, when you have to make one of those decisions, you have to do it, but it has to hurt. And the first knee-jerk reaction can't be trade someone or fire someone. I'd rather see if we can work it out together. And at some point, you just know that your gut tells you got to make a change.
All right. In the case of Hitch, well, because you hired Mike Yeo, everyone knew Mike Yeo was going to take over. And people around the league were just going, crap, man, I've never seen anything like this. How could you do it? I mean, it's like hockey. If you've never seen it before, like, it can't be done like in hockey. It's like, we can't have that. Like, that's never happened before. Well, yeah, you can. But like a guy like Hitch, you had a relationship with for so long, do you say to yourself, I know I might be going 1 year too long, but I'm going to give it one more chance and see where it goes. But I'm going to protect myself and get a guy that I think can come in and be the head coach, knowing that you may have to make a move.
Well, on Ken specifically, we had gone to the semifinals. I thought it was a perfect time for him to exit. Mm-hmm. Now, I thought he wanted to try something different. When you talk to someone, he told me he did, but I found out really he didn't want to do anything different. He's a hockey coach, and he wanted to coach. And I just thought that we knew we were going to have a hard decision with David Backes. Elliott was going to go. Brower was going to go. We had younger guys coming on. I thought, you know what, let's have the head coach that's going to be able to take these guys to the promised land start now. And Ken said, well, let me help you get to that next level. Let me hire let me work with my successor
That was his idea.
It was, well, we talked about it jointly. I said, we have to bring somebody in. This is the plan. Like when Ken took that last year, that was the last year. You could tell that you were running out of runway. That and great coaches. How many great coaches have been with one team? Not too many. Not in our sport. Maybe in football, maybe in some other ones. But the message gets stale. And I'm not saying it was getting stale, but I didn't think that that we were going to get to with Schwartz and Tarasenko with Ken for 6 more years. Yeah. And so bringing Mike in, and it worked for me in Dallas, quite honestly, because I had an opportunity to go somewhere else, and Mr. Bob Gainey and Mr. Hicks said, well, Bob, if you're going to leave, let's just tell him he's going to be the manager. I worked for 2 years, sort of same type of situation, a year and a half into it, half a year left, we weren't doing good. Bob said, you know, you're going to have to live with the decision you made at the trading deadline, and that was Lags, Jamie Langberg and Arnott, and Neuendijk for Arnott. Bob said, I'm not going to trade those guys and then have you have to live with it. If you're going to have to live with it, you make that decision. So he got out about a month before the trade deadline. So to Ken's situation, I knew it was going to end at that time. We weren't playing very good. I just thought now was the time to go fresh, to get Mike's voice in there. So if we don't make the playoffs this year, if it doesn't go good, we're not waiting till training camp to get those things rolling. Now, ended up making that trade. We ended up making the playoffs and won around too. So it worked out.
The Cam and Strick Podcast is brought to you by CarShield. You know, nothing more frustrating, Cam, than when that engine light comes on and you know right off the bat you're going to have to spend thousands of dollars to repair your vehicle. Call 800-857-2481. Mention the promo code CAM or visit carshield.com and use the code CAM to save 10%. Yeah. That's carshield.com. A deductible may apply. Save yourself money. Sign up and get your coverage now with carshield.com. Now back to the interview.
I'm going to go back real quick. When you're assistant GM, you started in 99, which seems like, God, forever ago. Like, what do you do to prove yourself? Are you scouting and saying, okay, this is the kid. No one's looking at this kid. He's mine. I'm going to show him off. Like, how do you prove yourself in that situation to build yourself up?
Well, I started in 90 and got
90. My God,
90.
Right.
Yeah.
Was that when you were with Washington, or are you talking about when you got to Dallas?
Got Minnesota.
I had that in my notes, to be honest with you. I said 99 because I'm an idiot.
Were you not in Washington?
1 year.
Okay.
I just got married. My wife and I got married in August, and I didn't have a job. I had an opportunity. I wanted to get into hockey. It was too late in the process to find a hockey job. I didn't know if I'd ever find a hockey job. So I got a job working with the Washington Capitals. David Poyle brought me in. He said, "Now this is in '89, so there wasn't a video coach. There wasn't." Yeah. And so I said, "Can I do some video work for Brian Murray that became Terry Murray? And can I go to the Baltimore Skipjacks games and just send reports in just to get?" And he goes, "Hey, I love free labor."
No shit.
And so I did that for a year. We lived in Washington, and then. I went to, the draft was in Vancouver, and I went out there to try and find a job. So I went to work for the league for free, just doing whatever I could do. And every morning I got up and I'd put resumes through under GM's doors, and Bob Clark finally hired me. Now that's when Minnesota was going to go to San Jose, and they were going to, so Dean Lombardi and Jack Ferrer were leaving. Bob Clark was going as manager. We had that team for a year, so they all played together, but they knew half of those guys were going to San Jose the next year. And so Bob Gainey said, I want to give you a job, and I'll tell you one thing. I know your dad. I trust your dad. I'm not going to lie to you. Your dad got you this job, but know one thing. He won't keep that job for you. So you better work hard, because he got you in the door, but he won't let you stay here.
And for people who don't know, Neil Armstrong, every time we bring up Neil Armstrong, Cam thinks we're talking about he's an astronaut, walked on the moon.
And coached the Chicago Bears back in the day.
That's true. He's not one-dimensional like me.
But your dad, so he was a linesman, so like, was that a big deal for you as a kid? Like, he's on the ice for all these big games, and he's in the Hall of Fame, and like, so you grew up, like, was hockey a big part of your household? Like, was it huge?
It was. I mean, I was born in 64, so my dad worked till 79, so we used to live in Sarnia, Ontario, which was about 3 hours from Toronto, an hour from Detroit. So we would always go to the Red Wing games at the old Olympia and then drop him off at the airport. There was no commercial flights at that point. He actually just stopped taking the train. I got some great dad stories if you want to get into them.
I bet.
But so it was always part of my life. And then at that, like, not referees aren't independently wealthy now, but they certainly weren't making much then, or linesmen at the time.
PLZ says he is.
Yeah.
Watch the way he dresses.
Yeah.
He's at Bell Reeve, I think.
But my dad was a golf pro in the summers. So he was a golf pro in the summer and linesman in the winter. So we were 24/7 sport, and I couldn't ask for a better childhood. He would bring home. I remember he brought home a Gordie Howe stick one day, and I broke it playing road hockey.
I'm sure you did. See,
did you get spanked for that at least? Like, good God, Army.
It was probably autographed too.
It was that time. They weren't called spanks back then.
Get that
they
belt
were called
out.
ass kicking.
No shit. Oh my God, Gordie Howe.
Yeah, it's probably autographed too. Probably from his last game.
I know.
Yeah, but it was really cool because he would bring pucks home. So we had a closet full of 6-7 foot high closet just full of NHL pucks.
Oh my God!
With the logos on everyone.
Yeah, just like the game pucks now. Yep. They were awesome. I'd go to school and I'd want something. I'd trade a guy. Guys are trading hockey cards.
School.
I was trading pucks.
But what about
everybody?
But what about when your dad started scouting? Because wasn't he scouting with Montreal? So like, how much influence has he had on your ability to evaluate players and just understand the game?
Well, that was a whole different animal for him. Obviously got into scouting, worked for the Canadians, did that for over 20 years. So that was really, 79 was 15, 16 in that age. So that's where I really saw his work ethic come through, the amount of hours he put in. And again, this is pre-computer. So he would have to write the reports. They'd become in triplicate. He'd put one in one file in the office. He'd send one to the manager, one to the administrator, or to the director of scouting. Ronnie Caron was his boss.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot from my dad in that. And
Professor.
Just, he'd get to the games. It used to drive me nuts because I'd go watch games with him. And 7 o'clock game, you get to the rink at 4 o'clock. And, he was there to work. So I just sort of sit. He'd go talk to the Zamboni driver and ask the Zamboni driver about this kid. Then he'd go talk to one of the ushers and ask him about this kid. Then he'd, like, that's when scouting wasn't just what you saw on the ice. You had to form your evaluation of their character, and he worked extremely hard, and I'm extremely proud of him.
Imagine talking to the Zamboni driver. No, honestly though, because the kids talk to all the janitors and all that stuff, so you can really get a detail on how the kid really is, right? If you do your homework.
Well, you guys coach. You coach kids now. Like, what kids hang around and pick up the pucks, and what kids don't.
I certainly don't.
Like the kids that you can tell a lot about the kid that's picking up shit on the bench, and that's helping a kid go around, that's picking up the pucks after, that's being polite to people, and you can see the snobby little rich kids that are going certain ways.
Army.
So and again, the game's changed a lot since the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, but human characteristics really haven't changed a lot.
All right, your first day on the job as the GM. Were you ready, or were you like, oh my God, holy shit, like what do I even do? Or did you know right then you had it under control, you were prepared, you're ready to be an NHL GM?
No, I was
scared.
I don't think I was scared. I thought I was more prepared. Like you think you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
You think you're ready. And I remember Bob telling me these. He goes, trust me, the best job in sports is assistant to anything.
Oh my God! I know
because
you don't take any of the heat.
No.
Oh, he said,
you get some credit though.
Well, yeah, you get a little bit of credit. He said, like, he was managing, and he said, you come in, Doug, every morning, and you got these hot sports opinions on what we should do. Then Les Jackson, who was our player personnel guy, he's got it. Then I go down, I talk to the assistant coaches, and you guys are at home every night, you're sleeping, and I'm taking all these things and they're whipping through my head. I got to talk to the head coach, and I really realized that when I became a manager is that the buck stops with you. You share all the credit, and you take all the failures are the manager's fault, and all the successes are the organization's success.
Okay, so you finally start becoming a GM. You learn so much through so many different ways through your father and all kinds of stuff, though. The game's changing. GM jobs are changing. Everything's changing. What's the one thing that you're like, okay, I got to stop this. This is old school. This is old school style. I need to regroup and figure something new out with this certain thing. Is there one thing that you could just put your thumb on and say, I had to change this. We became a little bit more innovative.
Well, I would say it's, I'm trying to stay innovative throughout my career, but it was easy for me because my kids were growing up through the technology age, and so I wasn't that far behind. Now my kids are older. They've moved out. I'm finding I'm getting farther and farther behind. Like we're now at the playoffs and guys are up in their room. Like, you're used to guys sitting in here having a few beers after a win or a loss. They're talking. You order more beers as a manager. You keep the beer coming because you want to keep it going. They come in, they get their food, they're up, they're playing Fortnite. Like, the game is long gone, and you get angry. You I don't want to say angry. You're like, how come they're not taking it like that? And that's just today's kids. That's their society. They,
that's
like
their way to get away from it, I think.
Yeah, and it's taken me a while to understand that they're just wired differently, and they show their emotions different, and they handle things differently. Like during the pandemic, Robert Thomas and Vince Dunn won. What they win?
They won like a video game
with
tournament.
Daddy Padre.
I know. They won like a video game tournament.
Yeah,
it's like what?
I'm not going on.
Are you not working on your like skills in the driveway? You're playing video games the whole damn time.
But at least they're not doing anything bad, though. I mean,
I don't know how you can get that into video games, though.
It's one of,
you can.
Well, no,
you can.
You ask
and you
that,
make money on it.
We ask our are you
addicted?
Yeah, our prospects, our Zoom meetings with these kids are into like. Tell me how many hours you game. Some kids are up till 4 or 5 in the morning game. It can be a really like teams have said.
Why were you so tired in the third period tonight? Well, I was up till 5:30 in the morning playing against.
Army. That's the difference.
Playing video games all night.
I remember going in 2002. They were asking me how many girls I talked to a day.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do at nighttime with girls. And I'm like, well, fuck. Want me to explain it to you? Like, but now you're asking about. But I play video games. Like, they're addicting. They're 100% addicting, but it also gets you away from reality. Like if you're stressed out, and you're not drinking, you're just sitting there, you're playing, but you can play till 5 o'clock in the fucking morning. It's like being addicted to poker or gambling, but you're not losing money.
Well, and that's it. And so like those are things that I never thought about, And then, my kids they went to big universities, Michigan, Boston College, and IU, Indiana, and like how do kids study? Well, they do this or that, and it's things that we wouldn't think of that they do. And I don't want to rat anybody out here, but their
take Adderall.
Their drugs of choice are different, and there's things like, are you kidding me? And they go like, you're naive if you don't think some of your players. You're naive if you don't think this is going on under your nose, and like one of my managers, I don't want to throw him under the bus. He's got a great line. He says. So how much dope do you really smoke? And the guy goes, what? He goes, well, come on. We all know you smoke dope. How much? He goes, I don't smoke it. Come on.
I knew who that was.
Yeah, and the guys like they're getting red, they're getting white. They don't know what to say, and it's a powerful manager, so he can get away with it. I could never do that. I don't have the personality to try and put somebody on the spot like that.
Do you track your players off the ice? I mean, are you like monitoring what they're doing? Like, do you want to know what they're doing?
No. There was a great quote about John Wooden. One of the players said, Coach Wooden had the greatest ability to know what he didn't want to know. and I know what I don't want to know.
It'll drive you crazy. It'll drive you fucking crazy.
Well, and boys are going to be boys. I mean, as I said, I have kids that age, and I want them to enjoy life. Like, you're only going to be in your 20s once. Now, enjoy it responsibly.
What if you're making $6 million a year?
Well,
at 23.
Sometimes you got to play guilty once in a while, Andy, and figure it out.
That's right.
I mean, you do.
Yeah, you're going to make mistakes in life, and you don't want. It's the repetitive mistakes that you want to get away from. When they become repetitive, it's not really what's happening on the ice. You want to make sure their lives are okay. Again, being in this business for 30 years, I've been in situations where we've had lots of guys that have needed professional assistance, and there's nothing better than getting someone professional assistance and seeing them turn the corner with their wife, their kids, their family, or just themselves.
Yep.
It's
kept
that's more
quiet
important.
too.
And Cam, you work for one of the best guys in the league that has one of the hardest reputations in Lou. Nobody cared about people more than Lou. I mean, and he doesn't want anyone to know that, but and that's what I'd like to be thought of as someone that you have to do. We got back to earlier. You have to do what you have to do because you're responsible for the organization. But you can do that and still be a good person and treat people well.
Damn right. And you know what? He would like pick guys out like a Colin White who were up in Nova Scotia. Mom and dad are alcoholics or whatever. And he would take a chance on you and show you how to become a man. Really, I mean that's how it is. Can I get detailed real quick?
But I will say this though, Michael Haley, we just had him on.
Yeah.
Who just signed in Ottawa, and
great guy.
It didn't sound like his life was too out of control, but he felt like it was getting there,
Yeah.
so he wanted to get help, and. the Florida Panthers, I don't want to throw anybody else in there.
Oh, yeah.
They put a press release out. He didn't even know. He was away in a treatment
I saw
facility
that,
for like a month.
I know.
And all of a sudden,
I follow you guys. Stalk you too.
I know. And his wife,
I feel bad for you.
His wife is getting phone calls like, "Oh my God, whatever," and then all of a sudden he gets out. So would you keep that private? Like, is that like a press release that needs to go out or no?
No, 100%. I would never. It's my reputation.
Right.
That I'm not doing it to protect my reputation. But if people don't think they can trust you, then they just don't trust you. You can screw somebody once and you can lie to them once. That's easy. It's getting the people that you can do it to 2 and 3 times.
Have fun with that.
That doesn't happen. So I'd rather go back to where I started with Del Rey. Is just be honest. You can be as difficult. Say what you need to say in the most difficult fashion. But if people know that you're trustworthy, you get to say it again. And I'm not saying I'm perfect in that area, but I try and hold that as sort of the litmus test of what I do.
And you want the players to know that it's a business, and they do look up to you and respect you and somewhat fear you, but they still kind of want to know that you're going to help them if they do if they're in a jam or they have a problem that's not out yet. Like they need to know that you're going to help them. And to that point, the painkiller abuse thing is going around big time right now. Is there anything that the GMs are talking about? CBD oil being implemented with different things. I mean, if guys get hurt, like a Vladdy, like are they? Here's 90 OxyContins. Like, is there anything new coming to the table with fixing that whole dilemma when it comes to painkiller abuse?
Well, yeah, there is, and we talk about it all the time, and it's the hardest relationship is getting to do what you think is right, and then following what the NHL and the NHLPA guidelines say you can do. So when a player goes into rehab, they don't tell the team. I understand that to an extent, except how can I help a player if I don't know what he's going through?
Right.
Now their fear, well, if we tell you you're going to trade him and put him on somebody else, well, a jerk might do that. But exactly. and again, I'm not putting myself at this higher standard than any other manager, but I know that if we had a player that needed help and he was getting it, and we're putting him in situations, team parties, we're putting him in at, the guys go out for dinner with the wrong group. Like, you want to have the information to help them. So the hardest part of that, Cam, is that it's difficult because of the guidelines of the PA trying to protect the players to get as much information. But I know that you just want to be there as a resource because, again, at the end of the day, it's a profession. That's how we make our living, but it's not our life. Our life is what our life is really, certainly for a player, the other 20 hours a day when you're not at the rink. That's your life.
Yeah. That doesn't happen anymore in the NHL, by the way.
All right, so let me ask you this. Well documented, one of the biggest stories of this past season, Jim Montgomery gets fired from the Dallas Stars, and you're the one who steps up to give him another chance. How do you approach that? How risky is that for you? How many conversations do you feel like you have to have with him before you're comfortable bringing him on board?
I would say, Jimmy and I met a few different times, and then Jimmy gave me the name of. Again, I don't want to get too detailed. I don't want to break that confidence, but we did a lot of talking to the appropriate people. Again, not to make sure that we were protecting ourselves, but to make sure that this was right for him to get back into this lifestyle where he's at in his recovery. It's, this, you guys travel. You guys are around the team a lot. It's not easy, and when things are humping up, and we're going to come back, and we're going to be playing every other night, and we're going to have 2-week road trips, and we're going to lose 3 in a row. We never hope to. How are you going to deal with it? What are you going to do? Our sport is still a wind down after the game is usually a beer or two, and if you're not like you want to put people in position to have success. So I wanted to make sure that in a situation like that he was at the point in his recovery that he could reintroduce that into his normal day-to-day thing. But I don't want to say a big believer in second chances. We all make mistakes, and I guarantee I don't live in a glass house. If I do falter or when I do fail, I'm hoping someone there to help me up and not to put their heel on my throat.
He's a hell of a coach, though, right? You're getting a hell of a coach who, like, he's in the situation he's in right now, not because of what he did behind the bench, but what he did off the ice, right? So taking advantage of what he can give you and what he can bring to the table. How do you balance that when you consider you have other people that are on the staff? But I mean, here's a guy who really is a head coach who had some issues, so now he's not a head coach, and he's got to start over a little bit.
Yeah, on Monty's situation, so this is how we would approach that. Mm-hmm. I did all the research on, is he a good coach first?
Yeah.
Because no matter where his rehab is, if he can't coach,
right.
I'm wishing him well in life,
right.
And we're here to help you, but you're not working for us. Mm-hmm. So I talked to people I know in Dallas. I talked to people I know, like during this pandemic, there's the Coaches Cafe, bunch of coaches, Monty's on it. Like, so you do this work to find out where is he connected to. I talked to people that know him well, other coaches. So you get that great feeling that he's a good coach and he needs an opportunity. Then you go into the other things that we talked about. Is it the right timing? But to answer or to piggyback what you're saying, his reputation is a good coach. I've been nothing but impressed with him since he's been here. We're at that age, or I don't want to speak for him. I'm at that age now where a workout's a walk.
Mm-hmm.
And we go on nice walks around Creve Court Park and we talk hockey and it takes like an hour. And it's cute. Yeah, we don't hold hands. Well, not on the main path.
No one's watching.
Yeah. But I enjoy that. And when you're doing that, you're talking, let's go for a walk and talk about the power play. And then he's telling me about his kids. Mm-hmm. Tell me about his wife. Like the more you're around people, the more you get to know them. But I've been nothing but impressed with Monty, and I know that we just had coaches meetings, and he was in, and his preparation, Craig said it was excellent. This is who he is. Like, do you want to be on the bench? I don't care. Like, I can be upstairs, I can be on the bench. I just want to help the St. Louis Blues win a Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. Like, that's
what you want.
When you have people like that, you happen to have more success. And usually, if you're not worried about getting the accolades, you get a lot of accolades.
Hey, let's talk about the new Bud Light Seltzer.
Oh, yeah.
It's an easy drinking, hard seltzer that comes in 4 delicious fruit flavors. Black cherry, strawberry, lemon lime, and Cam's favorite, mango.
Oh,
With
mango.
only 100 calories, 5% alcohol, and less than a gram of sugar, you might as well have a few tonight or this weekend. Go to BudLight.com to buy Bud Light Seltzer online. Must be 21 years of age or older. Bud Light Seltzer. Unquestionably good.
Yeah.
Now, back to the interview. All right, I want to go way back. Not that far back, but we've had Mike Modano on the show. How do you have the belief that you can take the C off of a Hall of Fame player who's a legend with that organization, truly know you're doing the right thing, and have the confidence in there to go and do it? Like, paint the picture. How did that go down? And without second guessing yourself, how did you know this was the right thing for the organization and the right thing for him? Because even he says, looking back on it, like, it probably was the right thing to do.
Well, we'll walk through.
And how do you take it?
Yeah.
I
think you can answer that part.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him for it. That probably one of the other mistakes I regret. When I look back on it now, there was an easy way to do it. It was, so I'll start at the start. So Darian Hatcher leaves. We're wondering who the next captain should be. We've won the Stanley Cup. Mike's the face of the franchise. He is everything. He's at that age where he wanted the challenge. We go through things. We go through, I think, a year-long work stoppage. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I just, he didn't have – we had the Brendan Morrows come. We had a young group come, and he had, I think, lost a little bit his desire to babysit and to manage and to do that. He just wanted to be a player. And my belief at the time was that he didn't really want the job, but he wasn't going to ever give the C away. And when I talked to him about doing it, he said, yeah, I understand it, but it became a bigger social issue that put him in a bad spot. And so it hurt our relationship. It really did. But when I look back on it, it was the right thing for the Dallas Stars at the time. Brendan Morrow was ready for the job. He did a good job. You look back on his captaincy, he did a lot of those things that you wanted. In hindsight, when I look back on it, I should have just gone to Mike and said, Mike, you're at this age, Brent's this age. What I want you to do is I want you guys to be co-captains. And it would have worked out perfectly. Like,
home and away kind of thing, or what?
I could have figured that part out.
Are you allowed to have 2 Cs or no?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah. And, well, they would have had to tell me no. But yeah, you are allowed to have 2 Cs. I've seen other teams do it.
Well,
Buffalo did it.
Yeah, give it
Buffalo
to
did
Luongo.
Give it to Luongo in
Vancouver.
But nobody would have ended up with any hurt feelings to the extent that they did. It hurt my relationship with Mike. It hurt Mike's relationship. I think it put Brendan Moore in a very difficult spot because he looked up to Mike, and like behind closed doors when you're doing it, everybody's, oh, that's a great idea. Then you bring in the Metroplex of 6 million people, and you got the sports shows saying, how could they do to this guy? Or
they just look at him as the legend, right? I mean, untouchable.
And then some people are saying, well, they must have done it for a reason. He must be a bad guy. He's not a bad guy. There was no bad people in it. It was just it was a decision that had to be made. Mike and I are, I would consider Mike a friend now. I don't want to speak for him, but we talk. Mm-hmm. I've talked to him. We were talked during the draft. Allison, I know his wife well, and a good friend.
He likes you now after Babcock didn't play him for his 1500th game. Now
I'm the second worst guy in the world.
You moved up a notch.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Okay, how important is the captain? Like, as the GM, how selective are you? Because you're going to have to make that decision coming up soon. Because, even Craig Conroy, who was on with us, like I said, he said, listen, Pronger may have had the C, but Al McInnes really ran the show in the dressing room. And I remember when Backus was the captain and Big Walt was there. And, there's time, and even like with Steiner and Petro at times. So how do you go about making that decision? What's the most important qualities you want before you make that announcement official?
Well, since Alex left, I've called the people I really trust, and they're all in the Hall of Fame as ex-players, coaches. I get their opinion on how important is it, what it is, and what I come back to is your captain has to have the core qualities that you want your team to look like. That's first and foremost. So that's one thing that the people I really trust said, don't give it to the most popular player. Don't give it to the guy that scores the most. If your team is built on scoring, then give it to the highest scorer. So your captain has to represent the values of your organization off the ice, obviously, but certainly they have to represent the values of the coach and the manager at the time, that this is how you want to go. And then I said, well, in today's game, with the transient way players are, it's more of a leadership group. And they said, yes, that's true. But now I'll speak one person because I work with everybody. Al McInnes said, that can work when things are going good. But when things are going poorly and you're part of a leadership group, you just say, well, that guy will take care of that. Mm-hmm. You need one guy that can be the focal point from certainly with the coach on a day-to-day basis. But if the shit really hits the fan and the manager's got to talk to somebody, it's hard to talk to 6 guys and think that they're all going to hear it the same way. When I'm talking to you directly, you're going to hear me. When I'm talking to Cam directly, he's going to hear me. But when we're talking together, you're both going to hear something different. Yeah. And so I do believe in the captaincy. I do believe that if you have the right person that represents all the values that you want, you can go that way. But I also believe you're better to go if you have a group of players that can do it, you can go that way too.
Does contract matter? Like how long they're under contract?
I broached that question with people, and they said, Doug, you're aging yourself a little bit now. The league is too transient. You can't not give it to a player because he might leave you in 4 years or 5 years or 3 years or 2 years. Give it to the guy that earns it, and then when he's not there, give it to the next guy that earns it. And you don't have anybody that earns it, just go with A's. Like I went into this thinking, you know what? And again, this was personal feelings. I hated when David left, and I hated when Alex left, and I don't want to do this again. It rips at you. It rips at your heart because you, as a manager, you have this unbelievable trust and relationship with this guy that he's the one guy that you can speak to on how you're really feeling, whether he agrees with you or not. He has to hear what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that. And they said, well, that you're picking a captain on what's good for you. That's who cares what's good for you? What's good for your organization?
Yeah.
And so
you bring up the how different it is now with the kids playing the video games and stuff like that. But we're bringing up Holly stories and things like that. Like you got to think the guys are easier to deal with than they were in the early 90s. You're around for a long, long time, like the Lindros and even Holly, who we love. But, like, don't you think the guys are a little bit easier to deal with than, like, back in the early 90s, right? I mean, it seems like
Was there more drama with the superstars before than there is now?
Well, I actually look at it differently. Because you knew where they stood, they're easier to deal with.
Oh.
You don't know where anyone stands anymore.
Why is that? They're tougher to read or what?
They're tougher to read. There's probably a little bit of a generational gap, too, that with me now, like, certainly I felt much more comfortable with Hully. Like, we're the same age, so I could talk to him about anything. When E came in to Dallas, I was like 8 years old, 9 years old, whatever I am. Yeah. But now it's a little bit harder, too. But I find now with today's it's like you guys have you got young kids now.
Yeah.
You know, this is the first time when I saw what Jaden's going through. Like, I love my dad. My dad's great. He's my dad. He's not my best friend. You know, but now these kids grow up now in an era where their dad's their dad and their friend. Mm-hmm. When you get to a certain age,
Cam goes through that.
Yeah. Where my dad, like, usually when my dad and I talked, I effed up. Like that really? Spurred the conversation. Well, like I'm 56 years old. Like, we weren't best friends. Now I love my dad. Again, I don't want to paint this picture that he's
you had a good but you had a father-son relationship, not a best friend relationship.
Yeah,
whatever.
And so now, getting back to how these guys talk, we're not friends, so best friends like they are with their dad. So they don't let me know how they're feeling. I think they talk a lot more behind closed doors about what's going on than they do where Hully or Shanahan. Or Craig Ludwig or Guy Carbonneau, they would just come in and say, "That's dumb."
What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, exactly.
So let me ask you this, and I've brought this up to you in the past a little bit, but I'm curious your opinion again, and we can talk publicly about it. I get it all the time. People you work with, people you work close with. You don't know. You've never played in the NHL. You've never been in the room. You've never played in the National Hockey League before. And I'm always like, okay, what's the rebuttal to that? Here you are, one of the most accomplished people, general managers in the game today. You've won a cup. You've been a part of 2 Stanley Cups, actually. You have all this international success with Hockey Canada. And so respected throughout hockey, yet you didn't play in the National Hockey League. Did you ever hear that throughout the course of your career? The whispers, well, he didn't play in the NHL, so he wouldn't know. Like, what's your response when you hear that? And that because that's something that a lot of former players use.
Well, because it's genuine, it's true, and I've always tried to surround myself, fill in the canvas of the areas that you can't paint, and I can't paint what it feels like to be a hockey player at the NHL level. So I got the job in Dallas. First guy hired was Guy Carbonneau, and I would say, I know that you think you can bullshit me, and maybe you can, but I know you're not going to bullshit Guy Carbonneau. Then it's Dave Taylor, now it's Al McGinnis. I try and surround myself with people that have those experiences that I don't. So if I make a mistake, they'll say, hey, and I get that a lot. It's not as easy as you think it is. That traveling 3 and 4 is not that easy. Like, tap your brakes a little bit. And Cam can respect this. When I first started, you think you know a lot more than you really know. And Bob Gainey had great advice. He said, you know what? Like, I'm sitting up here he was coaching for a while, and then he's managing. I'm sitting beside him, and I'd say something. He'd go, then I'd say it again. He goes, you know what? Why don't you do this? Go watch the third period from the Zamboni entrance, and then I want you to report on what you saw. I'd be down there and say, I didn't see fuck all. I mean, they're flying around, and he goes, it's not as easy as you think it is. So just make sure that you have an understanding that things are moving quick down there. They get paid a lot more to make those decisions and have that split second understanding what's going on. So getting back to, I try and surround myself with people that are better than I am, that have much more information than I do in areas that I don't know, and one of them is playing.
So he's like, if you're looking at the game above and seeing everything create, and you're like, why are you there? So you go down to the Zamboni entrance, like, okay.
I still do that.
No, that's a little faster.
Will you go down there?
Yeah, mostly on the road. I don't get run over by the ice girls in our barn.
That always sucks, right?
My age, it does.
No, ice girls don't run me over. Oh, yeah.
Again, stop that 4 more times. That's
please,
it.
don't.
All right, let me ask you this. If I would have told you a year ago, Alex Pietrangelo is going to sign elsewhere, would you say, I know, or I believe you, or you'd say, no fucking way he signs elsewhere?
I would have said 50-50. And not that we didn't want to sign him or not that he didn't want to be here. It's just the nature of the beast. I just saw John Tavares go through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, he didn't want. I saw Stamkos get to within an hour of doing it. So I saw David Backes do it. You know, I saw Jeff Skinner get traded and do it. You know, it's not something that you want. Did I want it to happen? Did I hope it didn't get to that point? But at the end of the day, it's a business, and I keep going back to Cam as a player. Like, I get what you're saying, and as soon as you take care of me, I believe everything else you say. But right at my line, anything underneath the line, and there was things that were really important to Alex, and there was things that were really important to us. And at the end of the day, we tried to give him a lot of things that were important to him, but we couldn't find a happy medium. And he's not the villain in this, but also I don't think Tom Stillman and the St. Louis Blues are the villain. It's a relationship that lasted a decade, and it was fantastic. And could it have lasted 8 more years? It probably could have, but it didn't. And I'm not gonna have sour grapes over what we might not have to thank him for what we did do.
Okay,
Exactly.
so the signing bonus issue and the no trade clause, or the no move clause, I should say. Why is that so important to you in the Blues to truly get become a big part of this negotiation?
Well, let's just take the signing bonus component right now. You never know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, give or take, let's say $10 million. I could be off. I think Toronto paid $60 million approximately in signing
Something
bonus
like that, yeah.
on July 1st. The pandemic
To all
hits.
their guys,
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's say we don't play this year because of the pandemic. They're out $60 million.
I know, it's crazy.
They don't get that back. It's not a do-over, you know. And so signing bonus is something that and I don't really understand the use of money for a player over for time. I get it at the end of the contract, and we actually gave some signing bonus at the end of the contract to protect him from a buyout.
Yeah.
But again, this is my opinion, not just on anybody. If you're signing someone to a 7 or 6 or 5 or 8 year deal, you're not buying them out in the second year.
Mm-hmm.
That don't happen. So it's just the use of money at the start. And the no trade clause, I give those out like cotton candy.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a big deal. It's the no move clause.
The no move, yeah.
And a no move clause basically says that the player can do whatever he wants, and you can't put him on waivers and send him down. You have no threat. So he could walk in to the manager, to the head coach, to the owner, and say whatever he wants. Obviously, like, you can't murder him, but he can say what he wants. He can do what he wants. He can act as he wants, and there's no recourse. There's zero recourse. And
do you cringe when you see other GMs throwing it out to other players because you know you're going to have to deal with that?
No, because I think everyone has to run the team the way they think is best. You know, it's not like I think what we're doing is right, or the only way. It's the way that I believe that works best for us.
Yeah.
And then, you know, but Alex was a special player, so we capitulated on some of those things.
Yeah.
You know, but once you capitulate, like as I said, everyone's a special player until everyone's special. Just the guy below me is not that special. So, you know, I understood why I wanted it. I understood why we don't give it. I don't think that anyone in the organization, the GM, the player, the team president, should have more authority ultimately than the guys writing the checks, which are the owners.
You know, some would even ask, like when I would do interviews or whatever, they say, well, what does Doug Armstrong care? Because how does he know if he's even going to be there in 8 years? Why wouldn't he just sign the player, secure the player to give him the best chance to win in the short term? Do you ever look at it like that?
No, because and I hope that's why I'm going to work for a long time in this league. Is that it's not that I just tell Mr. Stillman, I'm the steward of the franchise for you at this time. If we have success and then your franchise is worth nothing when I leave, what have I really done? Yeah, we had a parade, and I'm not saying we had a parade. It was fantastic.
Oh, we had a parade.
That was great. But
Cam won the cup. Cam was in the parade. Did you not know that?
We had a parade.
The current players were an afterthought.
I didn't eat beforehand.
But, you know, like I just think that as a steward of the franchise, I have to have an approach that even if I'm not here, I want my successor to have a chance to have the same success I had.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I say that to a player that, I have to make sure that I'm giving, hope they're all here, Vince Dunn, Robert Thomas, Kyrou, Prunovich, Hoffer, the same chance to win as we just gave that group that won.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do dumb things to win in the next 2 years, you're giving that group no chance to win.
Right.
And I again, I'm not saying it's right. That's just how I look at it.
Well, I see it in the locker room too. When you see these young kids, and you're like, "Oh, this kid's in my spot, but this guy's in my spot. He's got a no movement clause. I can't go anywhere with it. I'm clearly better than he is." And you see that, like you see it all the damn time. So I completely understand what you're talking about there, Army. I really do. What do you got, Andy? Because I got a question for him too.
Well, go ahead.
Well, what do you think's going to happen here, Doug? Like what? Like you got to have fans in the stands, right? When it comes, I know. Of course, you're not Fauci. We all understand that. But what needs to happen for this to go through?
You are Fauci, and you are
Fauci.
You are going to tell us what's going
Fauci,
on.
I'll tell you that. You give me a clearer answer than Fauci. Anyway, the point is, like, what needs to happen for this NHL to be successful this year? You have to have fans in the stands, don't you?
Well, economically, you have to have fans in the stands, but what's more important than just the bare economics? That's something that the PA and the league have to go through. I had this conversation with a couple of players today. Is that I again, dating myself, started in '90, before you guys were even around. They had a lockout. They played the season, and then the players struck in the playoffs, and they came back 2 weeks and they did the playoffs. So the owner said, "Well, the contract's not going to end at the end of the regular season." The next one ended in September. We had a 48 game season, so shortened season. Go ahead, miss a whole year, come back, another 48 game season. So, and what I learned through all that, and again working with Bob Gainey, is stay in your lane. This isn't your business. He said, "I was a player. It was my business then. I'm a manager now. This is between the players and the owners." Wow. My job as a manager, and I said this to a guy today, one of our players, is that you guys have to do what you think is right. The owners have to do but Mr. Stillman doesn't come to me to go to you guys to change your mind, and don't you come to me to go to him, because this isn't my fight. And you guys got to do and that's basically players, owners. That's Mr. Bettman and Mr. Fair have to figure that out. And when they do, our job is just to be ready to play. Yeah. And I think that we let ourselves down, quite honestly. We weren't ready to play when they told us to play, coming out of the bubble, and that's on the manager. I didn't.
You take responsibility for that.
Well, ultimately, I'm the manager of the hockey team. The hockey team didn't play very well, so that's on me.
Time to talk about our boy Dan Bellman. Ooh. Bellman.com. That's with 2 N's, not one. BEHLMANN.com. Hey, check out the new inventory. Check out the pre-owned vehicles. You looking for a Chrysler, a Dodge, a Jeep, or Ram? How about a Cadillac or a Buick GMC? All in Troy, Missouri. Get your new wheels in time for the winter. Now back to the interview. All right, I want to get back to Petro, though.
Count that bubble.
Getting back to Petro. After you make the decision, he signs in Vegas. And you guys meet face-to-face. From what I understand, you guys have met and talked since then, as you should. You guys obviously have known each other for a long time. What's that conversation like?
It starts out, it's a little awkward. And then, you try and say, "Alex, thank you. Like, thanks for everything you did here." There's no hard feelings. Like, from my perspective, and what I talked to him about just as we were going through it, I said, like, the difference is, your agent can take this stance and the ownership can take this stance, and we both got it, but one of two people are moving if this doesn't work out, me or you. So let's try and make it work out. Now, it didn't work out in his situation, and ultimately I might move because it didn't work out for him either. I don't know how this is going to work out. And so I just said, I get what you had to do. You did what you think was right. It doesn't change anything. But then now, as the day goes on, he's with Vegas, and I wish him great success, and I hope we kick the shit out of him.
I mean, that's a 16-car garage.
I know.
Yeah.
I remember saying to you a few weeks ago that you have to have a plan B. I know you have a plan B. Like, just knowing you, how you operate, you're always in the mix, right? And you'll do things that'll surprise some people. Some stuff you'll do that maybe there's been some smoke, like a Jay Bouwmeester trade or even a Ryan O'Reilly trade. But you bring in Torrey Krug. When do you start looking at Torrey Krug? Like you're watching video on him, you're starting to gather some information on him. When do you start doing that?
Well, through the whole pandemic, obviously we know who the free agents are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Our main goal is to get Alex signed, but because it's our goal and it's his goal and it doesn't work out, we have to be ready to go. Now, if we don't sign Krug, this is our team. Like one of the beliefs I have is, making the wrong decision is way worse than making no decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we didn't sign Krug, it wasn't like we were going to go spend $6 million on somebody else just to say, look, we don't need Alex. We got, we were going to go with the group that we had, but we'd also have $7 million to see what's going on and,
figure it out.
Offer sheets. You never know what we could have done at that point.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
no shit.
Like this offer sheet thing, as a manager, it's there. Like it's a
How
tool.
tempting is it? Have you ever come close?
We've never come close because I've always been a team that's at the cap.
Yeah.
We were at Dallas. We
Yeah.
were at the cap. Here we're at the cap.
Do you
We're
worry
trying
about
to fend
somebody
them off.
retaliating?
Well, we did. When my first month here, they put an offer sheet on David Backus. I remember calling.
Yeah, you were here for that.
I didn't know who the frickin' player was.
It was Bernier or something.
Bernier. I remember
Steve
calling.
Bernier?
Steve Bernier.
I played with him in Jersey.
I remember calling his agent saying it was Jules. I said, "Loopy, I'm making your day." I said, "Go to the fax machine." He goes, "Oh, I'd love to hear this."
Oh my God.
And because they had given up a second and a third to get him, maybe a week earlier, and we sent an offer sheet on that was just going to be a third. So you knew they had to match it.
Right.
Quite honestly, we didn't even want the player.
Right.
But it was just hey, you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Yeah, there you go.
So now
And JD got a little emotional there too, right? I mean,
yeah, but I thought that was a smart thing because, at that point we were a new ownership group. People were wondering how deep the pockets were, and if you give that sense that you're fresh meat, and the big boys can come after you, they're going to come after you. So you got to.
Why don't we see more?
Because
you got to have balls for it? I mean, honestly.
No.
We just saw a big one
that.
with Sebastian Aho, didn't we?
Aho did it. You got to do it.
But even Montreal says they knew that Carolina was going to match.
Well, then I wouldn't have done it.
Okay.
Then what's the point of it?
Yeah. Now there's teams out there. Like I remember we were in Dallas. Now this is 100 years ago again. There was Solani and Korea. No, Korea. It was Solani and somebody, or Big Walt maybe. They were in Winnipeg, and we said let's just put one in, and as soon as they match that one, we'll put the next one in. So we were thinking this way back then.
Yeah, Neil Smith said the same thing when he came on when they started
What did he say about that?
They started handing out offer sheets. I'm trying to remember who it was. Might have been to Lindros or somebody.
No, well, Neil did. I listened to your part. Neil did it to Sakic.
To Sakic, that's what it was. And then it was they wanted him to come back and do it to Korea.
And well, yeah, and it was
The
Mr.
owners.
It was Mr. Checketts, his group, and Neil said, I don't have a problem with offer sheets. I remember this. He goes, but they got to work.
Mm-hmm.
And Colorado was deep with money. They said this isn't going to work.
Right.
So they just angered somebody. Yeah. So if it can have a chance to work, I see it's a tool in the toolbox.
Yeah. That's interesting. Torrey Krug, how excited are you about him? Like he brings something different, right? That maybe you haven't had. I mean, you've had guys that have put up points from the back end, but he probably brings a little bit more flash and plays differently than maybe what you've had.
Around.
Yeah, we're excited. I'm excited to see him. And again, it's one of those ones where you watch the video on him. We competed against him 2 years ago in the playoffs. He was a noticeable player, not just the hit on Thomas, but he was a noticeable player that I talk. Again, as a manager, I go to the people that know the most, and that's the players. And I ask them about him. He's hard to hit. He's elusive. He's this. He's that. I don't want to spend close to $50 million on a dud. So you ask the guys that they compete against and say, no, he's good at this.
And he competes, man.
And he's good at that. So you see that on the video. You talk to the players, and then you get a chance to talk to the guy, and you're realizing, and then people go, this guy's a leader. This guy's this guy's that. And I don't know if you spend any time with him. He's just a genuinely good person with high quality character that's going to fit in really well with our team.
And you play with some big guys over there. You become a leader on that team too.
He's not afraid to win.
Exactly. Like he knows how to do it.
Some guys are afraid to lose. Like they're like he's not afraid to win. He's ready to expose himself to winning.
Yeah. He told me that he didn't even need to talk to Chief after talking to you. That he wanted to sign here after that. So I don't know what you guys had discussed and whatever, but what did you tell him? What were your selling points to try to get to? Because a few years ago, Army, I used to hear from some people in management with the Blues that free agents didn't want to come here, and it was difficult to get free agents. Now you're getting a guy like him to sign here. So what are you telling him? What were the convincing words you gave him?
Well, I started out and introduced myself to him, told him about my career, how I got here, what I've done, why I think, you're not buying in just for a year. You're buying into a management team. I talked to him about Mr. Stillman's commitment, being at the cap. Now, 20 of the 31 or 30 are at the cap. I just want to you're not part of the 12.
Yeah, no shit.
It's not like we're the Dallas Stars or the St. Louis Blues in the 90s where we're 40 million. Everybody else, we're playing with the big boys.
Yes,
Exactly. And so you tell them, and that's the vision. In the pandemic, we're playing with the big boys. Then you go through the age of your team. So, you have a young baby. You're basically coming. You're going to spend more time at the nursery than you are at the rink with our group. Everyone's having babies.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming out left and right every second. So
do you ask your players to call?
They offered to. On this one, it was happening so quick.
Yeah.
I didn't need to.
You knew right away. Like, when do you know the players? Like, because how do you read what they're thinking on the other end?
Well, so this, I call them at 11:15, 11 Central. We're on the phone by 1 o'clock. It's just Tori and I. We're talking. So I go through our center iceman. I go through our defenseman. I go through how we want to play. I go through. You're signing here for 7 years. You don't want to win for 1 or 2 and then suck for 6 or 7. So I talk about Robert Thomas. I talk about some of the other players coming. I talk about Fulker being here for long term. Colton's a guy we want to sign. So you go through everything, and then you get him to believe that he can be part of something that's sustainable. That was the first part. When you go through that, then he either says, you know what, you're full of shit. Mm-hmm. I don't believe you. I know hockey and you're not it. And he said, no, I've done my research. I competed against Robert Thomas. I know he looks like a good young player coming. I know this guy you got a guy like Prunovich. Now, here's a small college player from Michigan State, and I say Scott Prunovich. Well, he knows all about him. Another good player. Mm-hmm. So you just keep selling the hope of, like, you bring up a guy like Hoffer. Hoffer, who's this guy? Well, he went to Canada, took over the net, won the World Junior. Yep. Okay. Good goalie.
Yeah, right.
Let's check off things.
He was the backup when he got there, but they turned it over to him. He never gave it back.
So let's check off things that excite him, and then at the end of the day, that and $50 million usually get somebody's attention.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand the $50 million part.
I know.
But you would have come for free.
And real quick, Cam, you're telling the rest of the team, because players told me this, that there's a message that gets sent.
Goddamn
You're
right.
telling the rest of the team.
Goddamn right.
Just because we're losing Petro doesn't mean we're not trying to win, and we don't want to win a Stanley Cup. That means more, I think, to your current players than I think people might realize. Hey, are we losing that? Well, okay, we're losing this guy, but who we getting? Who we bringing in?
Exactly.
Do you think about that?
Yeah, and again, we're not doing it to appease the players. Mm-hmm. We're doing it because we believe in the players. Mm-hmm. Like, I believe in Shen, I believe in Schwartz, I believe in O'Reilly, I believe in Tarasenko. The list goes on. And if I believe in them, I have to show them that by my actions. It's not, and again, if Krug had said no, it's not like we were going to go get the next guy, because they would have said, well, that's not fair. He's not good enough. That's you're just wasting money now. Exactly. So they you want them to think that we're on the right track, and no one wanted to see Petro go. But when Krug signed, and quite honestly, I called a couple of players and I said, what do we need? And they go, you know what? Now, these are more your skilled players. I said, it'd be nice to have somebody that had a little beef on the bun that's there if the shit hits the fan.
Ooh.
It's Kyle Clifford. I wasn't going to sign Kyle Clifford.
You were?
Really? Well, in the sense, he wasn't on my radar of something that I thought was still that important in the game.
But your players said that.
Well, a couple players said, we would like that. So, bang. And Kyle came right to the top of the list. Dave Taylor, who I work with in L.A., he's won championships. when I talked to him, like, I was so excited when I talked to this guy because he had all the traits that I love.
Who, Clifford? He loved you. His agent was like, oh, my God, he loved talking to Army.
I was like...
I love that kid.
I was so excited, and we didn't want to go multiple years. We didn't want to do this and that, and so we went an extra year, and, like, can I get a third year? And this is something that I try and say is, if you can play, we'll give you, like
you'll get it.
The St. Louis Blues aren't about turnover. We don't like change.
Mm-hmm.
I love to dance with the girl I take to the dance.
Yes.
And change happens over time, but it's not the first or second thing that we think about. And so the longevity of a player like Clifford, he could play here for 3 or 4 years. I don't know. But I want him to play here and know that he's respected, and we have that. And I look back, I got Jax doing stuff for us. We got Walt doing stuff for us. I love having ex-players around, especially high-character ex-players. I love coming talking to you. I like seeing you at the rink. Like,
he's looking at me, Andy, by the way.
I wasn't sure who
he wasn't looking at you.
to.
You're asking horrible questions. What about Colton Parayko? People always go, can Colton Parayko take the next step? Like, well, hell yeah, he can. Well, does he have the confidence? I go, look what he does with the puck. He takes the puck. He does whatever the hell he wants with it. He has confidence. When you're in a locker room and you have an Alex Pietrangelo who's a captain, you have to take the next seat down. You can't be that loud. But once he's gone, organically as a hockey player, when you're already playing 20 minutes a night like Colton Parayko's doing, he's going to take that next step. In my opinion, I think we're in a good spot with him. I think he's going to be a leader in that locker room. What do you think?
Well, for sure. And I think the next step, I don't want people to think the next step is equated to more points. That's not what it's equated to.
What is it?
It's created the attitude you have when you walk in the room, that you're the man.
Yeah.
Yep, the man.
That's right.
And I said to him, like, you're the alpha male on the back end now.
Damn
Whether
right.
you want it or not, you're it.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, oh, I want it. So, like is Colton Parayko got to get 50 points to have a successful season? Not at all. But he's got to be the man. He's got to be the guy that the young players are going to on the back end. He's got to be the voice to walk into the coach and say, hey, we got to do this. That was somebody else's job. And I think he can do that without issue. He's an unbelievably polite person.
Yes.
Oh, God.
And I keep saying, like, it's the father in me says never change. The manager says get a little greasier, a little meaner. And I think it's in there, and I think he can. And
I just asked Parayko the same question the other day, and he was like, hell yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to be the guy, because we asked the same question to Charlie McAvoy, and it's like, as a younger player, it's like he wasn't sure, like, how do I answer? Because I don't know if Z's coming back or not.
Yeah.
I don't want to come across too cocky. So he's a younger guy. Even though Parayko's only been in the league. For how many years has he been in the league? 5 years, maybe 6 years, whatever.
6.
So, I mean, but at the end of the day, Parayko kept using the word aggressive. I want to be more aggressive. And I don't think he's talking about fighting or anything like that. No. But, like, what do you think he means? What do you want from him when it comes to aggressiveness? You want him to be a little more assertive off the ice or on the ice? You want both? What are you looking for?
Well, off the ice you are who you are. You can't change those type of things. Like, assertive in the sense that we want him to feel comfortable shooting the puck more. And I think that we were a good team when he got here. He had high, players like Vladdy that had high demands, and he couldn't. It wasn't just Vladdy. They were all those guys. Scorers want the puck. Like, they're 7-Eleven, man. They're open all the time.
No matter if they are or not.
They're open. We're saying you got to get selfish, and again, it's just the nature of the beast. I'm not trying to come like a Neanderthal, but if you break a guy's ankle, that's on him. That's not on you.
Yeah.
He did in the playoffs a couple times with the puck.
You shoot the puck, and trust me, if it hurts enough, they'll find a way to get out of the way.
Fucking
They'll flamingo as quick as they can.
But it's not just Petro leaving, though, but it's Bouwmeester too. Like, Bouwmeester had a huge impact on him too, right?
Bouwmeester had a huge impact on everyone. And it was funny. Again, you're sitting up at 30,000 feet and you're watching, and I got to tell you, like, I have a small following on Twitter, like people I follow, but I do read the blog and all that. I was shocked at the amount of people that were down on Bo. Now, it might have been the same people down on Bo that kept writing about it, but I'm going,
How far back are we going?
Yeah.
Before you guys won the cup, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, Army, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I'm like, you don't understand the work that he does. Like, You guys are probably too young. Remember the movie Airplane when the kid goes up above Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You tell your old man to lug Lanier's ass up and down the court 26 minutes a night. No shit. That's Bo. Bo's lugging Thornton's ass and gets last ass, and these guys up.
He went through a weird time though, Army, where he was like, he went through. He couldn't turn his hips. He was hurt.
He was hurt, yeah.
And then all these pucks kept going off him, and it just looks like a bad. Remember that time, like a stretch, like 2 months.
Yeah. He just had a bad time, and he was hurt.
Yeah.
But that's the pro that he was. He played.
He got over it though,
and he played. He played hurt.
I know.
It could have been easy to say, "Listen, boys, my wife's getting it at the grocery store. My kids are getting it at school. I'm getting it. I'm pulling the chutes till I get healthy." That wasn't Bo.
No.
He played through it, and then, when we won, the outpouring of how great he really was from not only our own city but around the league. Like people were happy that Jay Bowmeister Stanley Cup champion.
I know.
They turned like that.
I know.
Army.
And it was. It was obviously what happened to him last year in Anaheim. It was terrible. But like, he can go out as a winner. I mean, this guy is obviously accomplished so much, in the game of hockey. But I'm glad you said that. What's his status now? Do you know? Like, have you talked to him? Yeah,
we text. Not a lot. Just to say that Bo's not outspoken. I don't think I'm breaking any stories here. But I'll text him. He's another guy that. My person, I would love to work with him. I would love to get him to do some scouting for us in the future. I'd love to. Again,
very smart. Yeah.
He's one of those guys. He's got a great hockey mind. And also, retirement's great until you're at home all the time.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying that he's going to want to travel like a pro scout and do 4 games in 5 nights in 5 cities. And
you want me to go to Phoenix?
Yeah,
I'll go.
But he can go into Calgary, he can go up to Edmonton, he can go to Vancouver. He can come in when we're there. Like, I'm a big believer.
And he's not going to tell anybody anything. He won't talk to anybody in the press box either. He's going to keep everything close to the vest.
But I mean, these are the type of character people that I have the utmost respect for. Like when Keith wanted to get in, or Jax wanted to get in, I said, I got a job for you. This is what we're going to ask you to do, and we're not going to pay you for a year. It's an internship.
You said it to those two.
Yeah, like, do you guys want to do it? Like, we'll get you up. You can go travel with Tim Taylor or development. You can come sit here. You can do that, because. The money that we're going to pay them
compared to what they were making
doesn't even pay the taxes on their cars.
I know.
So it wasn't about money, but I just want to let them know that, in my opinion, like when you go into a scouting meeting, a lot of these guys do this for a living, and you got to show them respect that you're going to put the work in that they're doing. Because if you don't do your job, they're going to lose their job. And Jackson and Walt, like. I didn't know Walt when I got here. I got to say, like, working in Dallas, I saw him in Phoenix and St. Louis. Said, like, I'm not a big fan of this act. And then I got here and going, this is one of the best human beings I ever met.
Best of the best.
And when my son was at Michigan and his kid was playing at Ann Arbor and he'd go out for dinner and I'm going, I've never, and again, I'm not just kissing his ass now. One of the best fathers you'd ever meet.
Ever meet.
Real.
And this guy would do so much for so many people that. Like who couldn't afford to play and stuff like that, didn't want people to know. He would do so much of that, man.
But now, which that's who he is as a genuine person.
Yeah.
But now he works for us and college free agents, and like I'm getting texts on Friday nights. Hey, like last weekend. Hey, go to this channel. Michigan's playing Arizona State. Watch this guy.
Right.
Go to this guy is in tune. He loves hockey.
Loves it.
He loves the chase. He loves the game. He's having us like, you got to sign this here. Like, I just love the passion that he shows. And Jax is the same way. He's out, he's skating our extra guys. He doesn't need to do that.
That's fun.
He just loves being around the guys, and the guys love when they're around.
All right,
I'll bag the guys up if you want me to, just so you know.
Hey, Cam's a better player actually now.
I'll skate them.
Than he was when he was a player. I've never seen an NHL player become better after they retire.
I'm really good right now.
But
I'm really good.
I'm going to say the competition you're playing against isn't.
He's on my fucking team. Are you kidding me?
Yes, it's not quite as high. All right, so you win the cup. Be honest with me. What does that do for you? Like, do you wake up? Do you look in the mirror and you be like,
"I'm the fucking man. I'm the fucking
finally,
man."
Like, you know what? The credibility it gives a coach, a general manager, and I know you won one in Dallas, but
as an assistant,
it's an assistant.
You're the man here, though.
You're part of a group that wins.
Yes. But when you do it as a GM and how you guys did it, the whole story against, a quality opponent in the Boston Bruins who you had to beat to get there or to win it.
It's
that time when you're alone with your family, like, can you describe what that's like after that happens?
Yeah, I would. It was a great feeling, obviously. I laid really low for the first week after we won because I wanted the players to enjoy it. I didn't want to bring them down by being around, quite honestly.
Yeah.
You know,
you're so right on.
Not like they like I went to Jimmy's. Obi's one, and I was there for 3 hours.
We should just change the name to Jimmy's.
Yeah. Fucking Jimmy.
Although we're hanging out at Jimmy's right now, Jimmy Schneidhorst, we'll give him a shout out too.
Jimmy too. but I went there for a few hours, and then I realized, you know what? Now, my heart of heart, I wanted to stay there. I wanted to drink about 30 beers. Yeah. I wanted to tie one on. I wanted to be one of the guys. Except I didn't play. I didn't.
Yeah, but they wouldn't care if you stuck around.
They probably wouldn't hang out with you. I disagree with you too.
Okay, but
sorry.
Well, anyways, that's how I felt. So for the first 4 or 5 days, like after the parade, I went home and I watched the U.S. Open in the backyard.
You play music and just next to your wife and kids, like I'm just like, kick your feet up, like
no,
I'm in a great fucking mood.
No, well, I was in a great mood, but it was more trying to put a governor on my emotions.
There it is.
And then after about 2 weeks, like the governor came off, I was so excited. First of all, I was so excited for the guys that had put the work in before me. I was so happy for Larry Plow to be part of it. You know,
oh God,
you know, he won the same way I won with the Rangers, assistant manager. You know, he had great teams that could have won here. Then I looked back on our 2014 team, which I think was the best team I had ever been part of in St. Louis, and we lose in 6 in round 1. I thought that team was going to run it. Like we got Miller in. I thought we were humming.
A lot of people did. Yep.
We were humming, but it didn't work out. So
you won the first 2 games against Chicago too, right? Like in thrilling fashion.
Thanks.
I hate them. Yeah, I gotta remind. But you know,
and against LA,
and against
anything
LA.
else negative you want to talk about?
Well, I will bring that up because you guys lost 3 years in a row in the first round, Army. Like. I mean, and then you had some, legendary comments about how you got to stick the knife through the eye and the brain and like twist it and then kill them, then step on their throat and whatever. I don't know where you came up with that one. But
Walking Dead.
Did your wife say maybe you should use gentler words next time?
That actually is still a topic at our house. Like,
Who cares?
Well, it was funny. we lost that. We had lost that game, and I think that comment might have been the year before, and we lost that game in Chicago, and my daughter was there. And my wife was going on somewhere else. My daughter was coming back to St. Louis, and some of the owners were up there, and they were nice enough to bring her back on their plane. And Mrs. Stillman, nicest lady you're ever going to meet, says, we lost. Do you want to stay at our house tonight? We're coming back home. It was an afternoon game. My daughter's going, what do you mean? He goes, well, your dad's probably not going to be very happy.
Oh, said it to your daughter.
To my daughter. And my daughter's like, he's not going to kill me or anything.
Nobody's going to be a buzzkill around the house. Yeah. I mean, are you like that, though, afterwards?
No. Really?
No, I
How can you not be, though, Doug? Like, seriously.
I was probably the second ball of red where it became. No, but I mean, you go.
But that's got to be tough because you guys were so good.
Oh, God.
And that's where if people don't think about how hard it is to win, you find out then.
So what your mind what my mind, I want to speak for myself, my mind goes, as soon as you lose, it's all right. We got to get through the next 72 hours. There's going to be unbelievable anger in the city. There's going to be unbelievable anger from the ownership group. Mm-hmm. Like, so you're not even angry at that. You're trying to make sure you can protect the people you want to protect to get them out of town.
Yep.
And so, Cam, what you do after you win or you lose in the playoffs, you have a team party.
Yep.
And you say to the guys, hey, this isn't probably the time where we lost. We should have won the cup. We're out in the first round. I don't think you guys want to end up at OB Clark's for 3 days and have our fans see that. That's a bad optic. So my point is, your mind's always working on, let's just get everybody through 72 hours, and then we're going to digest. And now again, I've had experience doing this. Unfortunately, when you lose in the first round, But as soon as I get home, I'm booking a flight to the World Championships
Right away.
because I want the owner to settle down. Because usually, and they have every right to be mad, but they want answers
Right
that
away.
I don't have at that point, because the answers come when the emotion goes away. So you could go in and say, well, what happened? You could blame your best player. You could blame this. You could blame
Goalie,
that.
whatever.
You gotta let it digest. You gotta let it sink in. You gotta review why it happened like that. And sometimes we just got shitty luck. We hit 3 posts and that happened. And now nobody wants to hear that. And you have to. As a manager, I believe you have to err on the side of doing something really stupid for press clippings, i.e. July 1st. In a normal free agency. Well, the Blues did nothing. So you don't get the fans are mad at you. Everybody's mad at you. You lost this guy. You didn't do that. You didn't do that. And then in 5 months they're going, oh, thank God they didn't do that, and that. So you got to get through those emotional times where people in today's society, they want instant, you lost, someone better be fired.
Tell me why.
Yeah.
Right now.
And I want somebody's head on a platter. Whether it's yours, that's fine with me.
Who's responsible?
The coach, the captain, the goalie, the trainer, the scout. I don't care. But there better be a head out there pretty quick.
So you go to Canada, you work on new projects, you keep sending them information. Well, we're looking at this guy, so is this kind of like, oh, well, I'm thinking about it, but you're working, so we're doing it.
And I got to say, and again, I'm not saying this, to be a kiss ass, but Tom Stillman's got an unbelievable ability to allow information to come to him that he doesn't get emotional and push. No, I'm not saying he doesn't want answers, but he's not reactionary. He's been.
Is that a good mix for you?
It is a great mix for me because I'm not a big talker, social guy. Like and when I work with Mr. Hicks in Dallas, I talk to him 3 times a year, and so I was basically running a hockey team on my own, and I loved it. And then I came here, and Mr. Stillman wanted more information. It took me a while to understand, and then he said something that was like it resonates with me today. He goes, "I'm not asking to be a pain in the ass." He goes, "But I got partners, and if they ask me, I want to have an answer. So either start giving me more answers, or I'll find somebody that will." And it wasn't. I'm giving you the Cole's Notes version, but he was basically telling me what he needed. And for a while, I didn't. It wasn't my personality to care what he needed.
Yeah.
Then now, that opened up my eyes to what he has to deal with and respect what he has to do. He's been over time, he's become a great friend. I love working for the man because he allows me to do what I need to do. And I remember he gave me that extension a couple of years ago. We were in first or second in the league at Christmas, and we missed the playoffs. And I saying to my wife, I said, I got to go in and resign. Like, he doesn't earn it.
Really?
Yeah, I was.
Did you really
Oh, yeah.
think that?
Oh.
I really did. I was so devastated that I let him down because, when somebody gives you a contract and they pay you well, and like we hadn't missed the playoffs since I'd been here, and we were what were we at, second place in the league at that Thanksgiving, and Schwartzy got hurt in Detroit, and the shit hit the fan, and we just started.
And he was having like a
block shot.
He was having like an MVP type season.
Yeah.
That good.
We were a good team, and then all of a sudden we couldn't have beat a Pee-wee team for a while, and then we trade Stas at the end, and and again,
Colorado beat you at the end. Was that
that was the last game of the year. But I remember
Glad
going
he
to
gets
the GM meeting and talking to Mike Murphy, who works for the league, who's a really good friend, and I brought it up to him.
got hurt. Yeah.
I brought it up to him, and he goes, "Are you crazy?"
Hey, the players get pissed. You traded Stastny. Like you knew it was probably the right thing to do, but players weren't happy about that, were they?
No, they weren't. And if I was a player, I wouldn't have been either. But that's when I go back to our jobs are to do what's best for the organization, and we had played so poorly for so long that if we had got into the first round, we were going to get shit kicked anyways.
So I know.
And I don't. We don't want to be known as a franchise that's happy just making the playoffs. We want to build something that we want Vegas to say you're in the top 10 to win the cup every year. Yep. And we're there. And we weren't there. So I made a hard decision that year, or we as an organization, and we did with Shaddy too. You got to make hard decisions so you can make easy decisions with money later and sign and pay guys.
Exactly. Well, you got that kid for the trade, and he got a concussion. Who's it? Foley.
Oh,
Eric Foley. Was it Eric Foley? God, he
Yeah.
was a big kid. Like, he just got a concussion.
Yeah, well, the first round pick was the main part there.
Right.
But Eric he played for the U.S. national program.
Yeah.
Went to Providence. Looked like a good player.
Mm-hmm.
Just got rocked.
Second period of the first game in Traverse City is the only pro hockey he's ever played.
I remember that. I remember watching and keeping
Yeah.
track of that, being at the practices and shit, and that's all good.
You know.
Did you think? A few more minutes, man. You've been great. We appreciate that.
I got all night. You got more beer?
We do. Seltzer, mango. Did you think Ryan O'Reilly would have the impact on the organization he's had?
No.
And how much of an impact has he had?
Well, he's had a great impact on our. Again, it's like Torrey Krug. I knew the player. I'd been with the player at the World Cup of Hockey. I was part of that in Toronto. So I know him. I don't really know him, but I don't know. You hear these off ice workouts. You hear this little stuff that he does with players after, and it all sounds cute. It's neat. Oh yeah, good for you. Yeah, you're a hero.
Right, exactly.
But this is just who he is. And then I remember saying like it was yesterday. We were maybe mid-November, and we're fumbling around. We can't get out of our own way, and. We had a day off in Vegas, and he's there, and I asked him to come out to the bench, and I said, hey, this isn't what you signed up for. Like, he just came from a shit show in Buffalo in the sense that they weren't winning. It was not, I don't want to say the organization, but they weren't having success, and he thought he was going to come here. If I'm finally going to go to a team that for 8 years has been good, well, they're going to be at least good a little while I'm there. Well, it was like he got here and we became bad. And I could see it was weighing on him. And I remember saying to him, if you can just trust us that we know what they're doing, I believe I'm asking you to trust us because out of blind faith, because there's nothing we've done that should gain your trust except just trust the process. I believe in the guys. And then, we get to December, we have the Come to Jesus meeting on the road trip in Edmonton and Vancouver with the guys, and just said, like, we need to see change quickly, and then we had an ownership meeting, and the owners were saying, like, okay, what time do we just gas all these guys, have a fire sale, and rebuild?
No, you're almost there. Yeah.
And the rest is history. So, back to Ryan O'Reilly, he's the real deal. Yeah, he's the real deal and he's the real deal off the ice. And
there it is.
He's the real deal with his family. His mom and dad are people that you want to be associated with. Yeah. So I'm a big fan.
God.
Captain material.
Certainly in the group of guys that need to be considered. He has all the values that we believe are true to be a captain, and he's not the only one.
I'll never forget, because that year his first year Buffalo came to town, and there was a story in the Buffalo paper about how Ryan O'Reilly's bringing down another team, and here he is, he moves here, and now
funny how that works.
That bothered him so bad. I talked to him about that he was really hurt by that, and so it was great to have him show some vindication, because when you guys were struggling, it certainly wasn't because of him, at the first half of the year.
He was dominating.
He was playing great, but that's like I don't know what politically correct thing I can use. I use one, but I don't know what I can say anymore, but like
penny wise, pound foolish.
Oh, he always has he always has the best analogies.
Yeah.
I don't know who gives you. Do you read like a book of analogies before you do these?
I was going to say,
press
like,
conferences?
he's like the tallest little person. Like you're the best player on an awful team. Well, who cares?
I know.
And he's a good player, and he'll my skates once in a while.
Yeah.
But when you met with the group that, what'd you tell them? You said, I'm doubling down on you guys.
I didn't say I'm not. I
didn't?
learned that lesson from
you learned that
Lagerberger.
from Lagerberger. So you never said, I'm not trading you guys.
I said, I'd like to. We're going to double down for a while, but there has to be something that. And I said to the guys in No Trade Clause, I said, you're probably going to read your name out there, because quite honestly, it has to be out there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because
it's a game.
It's an industry that if we're not going to be good and we're going to rebuild, we don't need $8 million players.
No.
We need 8 first-rounders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
And if we want to get past that as a group, let's start winning. And, like, hey, God bless those guys. They went on a run in that January, February. And quite last year, like, when the pandemic hit, we were the second best team in hockey behind Boston. So it's not like it's not like it was a flat. Like what you want to do, it's like
we're not counting last year.
But you want to verify.
It wasn't a fluke.
That's what you want to verify. Like
exactly.
they say in golf, like a birdie, you want to. If you're playing skins and you don't get a par in the next hole, you don't get the money for the birdie because you didn't verify. You got to verify
Verify the shit.
Yeah.
And we verified it, I think, last year up until the pandemic.
Did you know heading into the bubble? Because we did. We talked about it. Like, I don't know how many. I kept saying, like, I just had that feeling talking to your guys and whatever. And teams like Washington, I know Boston won around whatever, but even some of those teams that have won in recent years, I just didn't get the feeling the motivation was going to be the same as it would be for some of these other teams. Like, did you feel like heading into the bubble that you guys were in trouble and that maybe this wasn't going to go your way?
I felt that when we got there, we had to have something good happen to us to change our mindset of what are we doing here to, well, we're here, let's win, Yep. And like, again, I don't know the exact stat, but we might have lost or not lost any, maybe one game when leading
After the second. I don't think you guys had lost. Something like that.
And we lost the first 3.
Yes. You had not lost, I don't think, all year when leading after 2.
Oh,
so if we come back and win those games, like the Colorado game, the first game, they score with a second left. If that doesn't go in, we get a point. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we go to the next game.
Yep.
And it built, like, we didn't have anything to build off of. And then when we finally had something to build off was game 5, the first period. I don't want to throw I remember 2 or 3 guys had glorious chances to make that 4-1, then 5-1. We don't do it. All of a sudden, see, these are the things that stick in a manager's mind.
I hear you.
Then it's 3-2. Then you're just a lucky breakaway. Then it's 3-3. Then all the momentum's gone. Like if we get that goal to go 4-1, we've won 3 in a row. Then we're starting to feel, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
It was an empty netter too, or somebody had like a point blank shot.
Yes,
and the goalie dove.
And I remember that. And Andy and I watch religiously
Bozak,
now.
maybe?
And we're like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, but that's hockey though. But that's hockey though.
And it's not like he didn't want to score.
No,
it's not
shit. No. It's hockey.
It's just
it was
sometimes
weird.
Bad shit happens.
It was a bizarre situation.
But I think if we win that game, then we have that little spark that says, you know what, win one more. Now we're down to 8. Once you get to 8, you're 4 wins away from 4. Then who cares? What's another 3 weeks?
Let's go.
Like you gotta.
Let's go.
We never got there.
I'll FaceTime my wife. Who cares?
How often are you on the phone with other GMs? Like, I mean, is it really like, are you talking to everybody all the time?
I talked to 3 today. You try and, well, there's certain managers that you just have a kindred relationship with that I can talk to about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Burge is one of those guys for me.
Who else are they? Who's your closest friends in the group?
Well,
Kenny Holland, you mentioned.
Kenny Holland is probably the number one guy. I like talking to Don Sweeney.
Is he letting you trade for McDavid? Is that happening or no? Is he going to give you McDavid?
What a dumb question that is. What a dumb question.
And Draisaitl.
I already fucked up one time. You fucked up this. Lord.
So Kenny Holland, Bergie. Who else?
I really like talking to Jimmy Rutherford.
Yeah.
Like
all the old school guys.
What about Lou?
I love talking to Lou. We don't talk as much, but Lou's one of those guys where I'm comfortable calling him for advice.
Yeah.
And he gives you good advice. Like Lou to me he's not looking to win every little score. Like when we make a trade, he wants to do well in the trade.
Yeah.
But he's not looking to screw you over. He's not and
respect value, I guess, is that what it is?
Well, I have huge respect for Lou and I think if you have a reputation as a manager too, that you go in with something that makes somewhat sense, you can work off of that. Again, I have managers that call me and sort of what I said earlier. I said, okay, well, I get that what's in that for you, but what's in it for me? You got to walk me through your logic. Well, I don't know.
Well, then why are you even calling me? What the
what's
fuck?
The point?
Don't waste my time.
And so I don't like talking to those guys or calling those guys because it just seems like it's a waste of time. I remember dealing with one manager who I made 2 trades with in about 6 months, and they were a bottom feeder. And he calls me with another deal, and he kept pushing. I said, I don't want to do it. And I finally said, you know what? If I make that trade, then my team is going to become like your team, and that's bad for me.
Oh, that's
why you're calling me.
That ended the call.
There it is.
I like that. And now you're a mathematicien too, because you got to balance the salary cap.
I don't know
how
you
you
need help with that, Army. Let me know.
Andy Strickland and Cam Jansen here for you for GadgetBuyback.com. Yeah. Gadget Lab, they got a store here locally if you're in St. Louis, 5541 Telegraph Road. Here's the deal. You got an old phone, maybe a cracked tablet. Maybe it's perfect, but it's a little bit older. Turn it in right now. www.gadgetbuyback.com. Upgrade your devices, phones, computers, watches.
Anything.
Doesn't have to be Apple either. No. Get those tablets turned in. Again, www.gadgetbuyback.com, 877-772-8880. Now back to the interview.
Yeah.
Does Ryan Miller do all that for you? Like, I mean, do you say, hey, if we make this trade, how does that look? Or are you able to do that on your own now? Is there like a software for it?
Yeah. Well, Ryan Miller is our software, but I mean, I can do it 1 year out, maybe two. But when we're looking at 3 and 5 year projections, you're always projecting out on when guys have arbitration rights, when they don't, how hard you have to squeeze if they don't have them. You know, like we had a number for Petro, you know, and we went to the top end of what we thought was fair, and then when it goes past what it's not fair. Fair has nothing to do with what we can afford. Then it becomes okay. Well, if we go past what we think we can afford, who are we taking it from? Because, like, you know, you have maybe a reputation, or we have a reputation of being hard to deal with as a management staff signing players. And I hear that, I laugh. I said, we've spent the cap for a decade. How hard can I be to deal with? Like,
making trades left and right. We're trying.
But my point is, like, if I gave every player what they wanted, we wouldn't have as many good players.
All right, last thing for you. When you deal with an agent and it gets a little bit ugly, you're not happy with the way they're presenting the situation, dealing with them, and now you have to turn around and negotiate a contract with the same agency but a different player, do you completely turn the page, or does that stick with you?
Honestly, it always sticks with you. I mean, you're human. Yeah. You try not, like, I would never hold it against one player because I had a bad dealing with the other player. But it's in the back of your mind. Like, there's certain people I deal really well with that I can pick up the call, I can pick up the phone, make a call, and we can get a deal done for $40, $50, $60 million in 8 minutes. You know, people think that's crazy. Well, and there's guys I can't get an $800,000 deal done in 8 weeks with some guys.
Right. I know.
You know,
isn't that crazy?
And you're like,
he's working on you, Andy.
Yeah. I said this is craziness.
Yeah.
So you work with different people, but no, I would never hold a grudge against one player because I had a bad relationship with his agent, or because I couldn't get another player signed, because it's not fair to that player.
Yeah.
I mean, he picks his representative who he thinks is best for him, and I respect that.
That's how I get it, Andy. I couldn't answer that question for you.
No, it's a good answer. Good answer.
Doug, you're the man.
Thanks for coming in and doing this.
You're the man.
Appreciate it very much.
Well, guys, thanks a lot. Remember, Jimmy, good to see you over there, bud.
Cam wants another contract.
I was pretty good.
He wants a contract.
I fucked up the one thing where I said 1999, where I had 1991 in there. I screwed that up. My bad, Army. But that was the only thing.
Well, 99 was a special year we won the Cup, so you can bring that up all the time you want.
How much longer you want to do this? I'm talking about the interview. No, I'm
5 more hours. I gotta pee like a racehorse, Andy.
How much longer you want to be a manager? I'm sure after the pandemic, you're like, okay, I have no plans on quitting anytime soon.
No, well, I'm 56 now. You know, like my dad's at 86, and he's not doing well. So that's 30 years. I want to enjoy my wife. I want to enjoy my life.
Yeah.
It's just, how long do I want to enjoy it? Like, hockey's been great to me. I'm hoping to do this maybe for another decade. But there might be a point too, like we're at the age now where I'm going for my friends. I'm going to more funerals than I am weddings. So, you know, we're getting to that point where I don't want to get to the point where I haven't given back to my wife everything she's given to me.
It's true.
And it's not an easy job. I'm not complaining about it, but she's raised 2 kids on her own, and she's missed a lot of weddings or a lot of anniversaries, a lot of, you know, when I first started out, you know, I left Christmas Day for the World Junior because I was trying to improve myself and get better. So I owe her a lot, and I want to make sure that I spend at least 10 good years with her.
Yeah, for sure.
Get the yacht, hang out with the wife, kick your feet up, snorkel, whatever the hell you want to do. 6-7 years, do your thing.
Yeah.
Seriously, snorkel. Don't work your whole life. Work your whole life.
No, I see some guys, and
I can't take it.
Some guys that do this and they can't get anything different out of them. I'm I'm hoping that I have more vocations than that, but I might be 10 years from now, 66, going, man, I'm loving this.
I want another cup.
10 years.
Right.
I want another cup.
I'm hoping
when
to
the
spend a lot
GM
of
salary is 10 years from now, we're like
making 40 a year, like NBA.
I know. Then you're like, okay, maybe I'll just keep doing this
Jason
for a few more
Tatum.
years.
My ultimate goal is for my wife and I, when the last one passes away, the checkbook says 0.
Oh, there you go.
That's my game plan. Trust me on that. Army, you're the man.
Yep.
Thank you for coming on,
guys.
dude.
Thanks a lot for having me on.
Well, we only
I've
need
had a
another
great
hour.
couple-
We only need another hour.
Yeah. Anytime.
Have a great
Anytime.
holidays, okay?
Thanks, guys.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Yep. That was Doug Armstrong.
You guys still there?
Army.
You
Are you
3
still
hours?
there? No, they're loving it.
I know. They're in their car, fucking, or they're chilling, or they're like cutting the grass if you're in South, but you're probably doing all those Canadians work their ass off up. There's probably snow coming out. They put your headphones on, baby, and get work done.
Yeah.
I will entertain you.
Could be Stacy Krause, this guy who just built my sun tie, like the most badass hockey net ever.
Good.
He's a truck
Good,
driver.
good,
Brought
good,
it out to my house on Thanksgiving morning.
Good.
Makes them for all the boys, apparently, all the teams
I
too.
can't. When I go to your house, I'm gonna be like what are those guys called? And they come, they surveyor. No, the guys that come inspector. I'm gonna be an inspector at your house, and not because anything. No. Where's Ty's room? Where is his hockey setup?
Yeah.
And if you don't have it, we and you are having to sit down.
You know we got it. We really appreciate Doug Armstrong for joining us, though, man.
Yeah,
honestly,
dude.
lots
awesome.
of stuff going on, and I think he was just
was great.
insightful. You know what I'm saying?
I could pick his brain all goddamn
Me too.
day, dude.
Me
Are you
too.
kidding?
He's so smart, so intelligent. When it comes to the business side, like it's not always about how smart you are with the game of hockey, even though he obviously knows the game front and back and very well. Like he talks about this, and I think about it in business, Cam. Like how important it is to surround yourself with people who know what they're doing.
Oh my God.
It's the most important thing.
Why do you think you're next to me? Why do you think you're next to me? You think who else would think about that?
Yeah.
And why do you think I'm next to you?
That's right. No, you got to find that. You got to find that combination. But he does that. A lot of other people, I don't think understand that because their ego is so high that they don't want to bring in strong personalities or visible personalities because of their own ego.
Well, that could be shaky too. Mm-hmm. You can't have a guy that undermines you that's under you too.
You can't.
You have to
you
balance
gotta have that trust factor.
But you also need a guy to be like, hey, this isn't right. Let's check this out. Not be a pussy about it too.
Because I asked him, because he never played in the NHL.
Yeah.
And so many people will judge you for that.
Yeah.
And not just as a media guy and whatever, but whether you're a coach.
Oh yeah.
Especially
when you're a coach.
Whether you're a GM.
I think more when you're a coach.
You got guys that are making, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million plus. And they want to know the people who are telling them what to do or who are guiding their ship that they know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, and I think Army's great at talent evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
He was a scout since the early 90s doing his thing. I mean, he's seen it all.
I think no matter what your title is, Cam, at the end of the day, in the NHL, probably the same with other sports too, but if we're talking hockey, I don't care what your title is. At the end of the day, you're a scout.
You're a scout. Who's good and why are they good? Who's bad? What
and
are
how
they bad?
can they help us?
How can they
how
help
do they
us?
fit in?
Talent evaluation, and I think that's where he excels more than anything.
But how much more difficult is it to be a GM now?
Oh, I wouldn't.
In today's
crazy. You're a mathematician. That's all you're.
With the CBA the way it is, but then with the salary cap, man. I mean, you just got to manage that. You can't just think this year. You can't just think next year. You got to have it all up on a board for you to look at every single day. 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, this player's contract's going to expire. Who do we have moving in when he expires? How much is this player making 2-3 years from now? How do we have to slot them in?
How's our kids down in the minors? Like, where are they at? You know, there's so much to juggle and balance. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't want to do it. But that's all he does. That he's obsessed with it, and he's doing a great job, man. And he likes the podcast. He listens to the podcast, and
one thing he said that really stood out too is how much respect he has for Jay Bouwmeester.
Yeah. Of
you know what I mean, man?
And Jay took
saying
a beating.
He impacted everybody.
He did. He was silent. He was quiet. I shouldn't say silent. He was quiet in the locker room, but he did speak up when he had to. But he just did everything on the ice, man. He's a winner. And J-Bo's kicking his feet up right now. A ton of money. Doing his shit, baby. Yeah. Good for him.
Riding bikes.
Not talking to anybody.
Hanging out. No, but he will talk.
No, I know he will.
And you know what? You get to know him a little bit. Like
he'll come out.
He's so smart. And so look for that to possibly happen down the road. I could see Jay Bouwmeester wanting to get back into hockey, but it's going to have to be under his terms. He's not going to want to travel and do a lot of that type of stuff. But, he's going to want to go around the rinks, and Doug Armstrong gives him an opportunity to do some scouting for games that are close to where he lives. I think he'll jump at that when the time is right.
Well, I certainly wouldn't if I was him.
You would not
go scouting?
Well, for games that are in your city.
What city?
Well, he lives close to Edmonton, I believe.
Okay, but even then, I don't know.
Or maybe close to Calgary, one of the two.
I'd probably be like,
he's up in like the Kelowna area.
I'm just being honest.
Lake Louise.
If I'm him, I'm like, where? I have to leave this beautiful to go scout at that shitty
but
cold
Cam,
rink.
There's some guys.
They're obsessed with it.
No, they're obsessed with it, or they want to get away. Like, what else are you going to do with yourself?
Well, you hang out with your family and watch your kids grow up and do whatever. But you're probably sick of that. But like I don't have kids, so I'm like,
go to the game.
I want to be home all the goddamn time.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. Just go to the game that night. I bet you there's a lot of guys who work in management positions who are thinking, maybe I'll do this another year or two. And then with the pause and all that stuff going down with Corona, they spend so much time at home. They're like, okay,
yeah, I'm done with this.
I know I'm working for another 5-10 years.
What do you want me to do? I'll work for free. Get me out of the house.
I know. So it was great to have Doug Armstrong on with us and tap into his brain, man. Love to get your feedback, what you thought of the interview, and love getting another big dog on with us here on the Cam and Strick Podcast, episode number 95, as we inch closer and closer to the holidays and closer to episode number 100. As always, brought to you by CarShield and CarShield.com. 800-857-2481. Get that promotion today. Mention the promo code CAM. You're going to save 10%. I can't think of a better Christmas gift, a better stocking stuffer than to get a new protection plan from CarShield and have it put into your stocking, man.
Lovely.
800-857-2481, CarShield.com. Customize the plan that suits your needs and do it very, very soon. Do that today. Bud Light Seltzer, baby. All the flavors. The ugly Christmas sweater packs are in stores now on the shelves. You can get the variety packs, or you can stay with the originals, the staples, the black cherry, the strawberry, the lemon lime, and the mango. Mango, baby. Check that out. BudLight.com. Bud Light Seltzer, unquestionably good. Under a gram of sugar, 100 calories, so it's good for you. Won't keep you or make you bloated as we get closer and closer to Christmas season. Are your lights up now? Because now we are officially into the Christmas season.
I put the tree up and everything. She decorates. I do the grunt work as usual, and then she decorates everything very, very cutely. Cutely, is that a word? I don't even fucking know.
I don't know. Hey,
it's
okay.
Cute.
That's okay. Good. I'm glad you got that done. Also, Bellman.com, BEHLMANN.com. Don't forget about the second N, Troy, Missouri. Both sides of the street, the Cadillac, the Buick, the GMC, the Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. If you have a used car, they'll buy it from you today. So sell it. And one thing I can tell you right now, the customer service you get from the salespeople at Bellman is second to none. You won't find any customer service better anywhere in the country because you don't get any what, Kim?
Swinging dicks.
And what is that? What is that?
Well, it's just, the guy coming out fucking swinging his dick around like, what you got down? And you're like, what? Can't I just look around by myself? Gary, let me give me your hand. I'm going to take your hand up against mine. Whose hands are bigger? Get off me. Get off me.
That could happen in a restaurant, too.
Oh, God. Got fucking molested.
Get that new car and get it today in time for the winter. It's starting to feel cold. We had little snow flurries this morning.
Yeah, it was cute.
Loving that for sure. That was cutely.
That was cutely.
All right, keepithandsome.com. Listen, we're all about fighting the ugly, and there's so many ways to fight the ugly.
Yeah.
Whether you're dealing with some adversity in your life, whatever that it is, that ugliness that has creeped in.
I'm getting a lot of people messaging me about workplace bully.
Really?
I'm getting so many.
No,
Andy, there's such long messages.
In that case, I have been bullied.
Oh, yeah, you have. Oh, yes, you have.
Yes, I have. I didn't even realize it.
Yes.
I've been professionally workplace bullied.
Yes, you have, dude. But you probably deserved it. But I do get all these guys, and I'm trying to get back to you on it.
You never deserve it.
No,
you never deserve it.
No, you don't deserve it. No, you don't. But you could help yourself in other ways, too, so people aren't addicted to you. But on the other hand, most of the time, you're getting fucking bullied, and you're not doing anything wrong, and that's completely unfair. But, again, a lot of workplace stuff, guys, I told you I'll call you. Sometimes I can't give you an answer because I need to talk to you to explain it, right? Yeah. So there you go.
But there's so much competitiveness in a work environment. Jealousy creeps in, all that
shit,
stuff.
Yeah,
everyone's chirping behind each other.
Everybody thinks they're the best too.
Everyone's chirping.
In radio, everybody has such an ego. It's
everybody
unfucking
is trying to
They've never played
somebody else.
They've never played any sports.
No.
But they have the biggest egos in the world, and it's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
So you noticed that from being in the media.
From the get-go. when I first got in 4 or 5 years ago.
Isn't it unbelievable?
I'm like, why is
worse than it is at the professional sports level?
These guys are making 10 schmel cruising around, fucking flying private 9 pieces. And then you get in the radio world, and you got these fucking old men that think they're like the biggest cocks in the world, and they're peacocking around like, look at me. I'm like, what? Who are you? What did you do? What? Excuse me? What are you asking for?
Workplace bullying.
Jesus fucking Christ. Wearing loafers.
We'll fight that ugly. Workplace bullies, you need to fight ugly hoodie. Help spread the word. Support the cause. Check that out. Fight ugly. Mention the promo code Cam and Strick. You're going to save 15%. You can find all of it. KeepItHandsome.com. And hook up your flow, too. And get those products in your hair, man.
Smell handsome, baby.
Get that beard moisturizer.
You want your girl.
Take care of that beard.
You know you smell your girl's hair, and she smells like a princess. Now she smells you, and she gets horny.
It just puts you in a good mood.
She gets horny.
It puts you in a good mood. So check that out. KeepItHandsome.com. And don't be a work bully, by the way. And get that Fight Ugly hoodie.
Yeah, dude. Oh, God, yeah.
The work bullying. It's kind of interesting you brought that up.
Yeah,
people are saying that, man. Because you know what? Sometimes when you're in a work environment, you have like no leverage to fight back or to stick up for yourself, dude. What are you going to do?
You got to be fucking strong, man.
You just got to be strong.
You got to be strong. You got to be strong, but you also can't be a pushover, and you also have to have dignity.
Yes.
So I have to explain that to people.
And you got to have confidence, man.
I know, but you get some confidence, stupid. You're stupid. You're stupid. And you're like, how do I build confidence when my fucking person pulled me down?
And when people are like chirping behind your back and like trying to bring you down and keep you down, like it's very, very difficult.
Get confidence, stupid. Like imagine you're... Anyway, we can go on and on about it. So it's there, guys, and I know you guys are messaging me left and right on it. I love it. I'm reading all of them. I just can't give you a succinct answer whenever it's like a workplace violence in Guelph or wherever you're at, because I don't know.
We can help you out with
I can help you, but I can't. I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
I can't just do it over. You get my drift?
Yeah,
okay.
No, I got you.
So.
Cam is actually very good to bounce stuff off of.
Yeah.
Like if I'm ever in a jam or something.
Oh, I'm the best.
I love bouncing it off of Cam. And he'll make you feel better. And make you feel good.
All right.
VictorHockeyUSA.com. So check that out. We've got some hats coming out.
Yeah.
Cam will be handling all the shipping and handling and all the packaging.
Fucking crazy.
So it may get there, it may not get there.
I'm not doing it, dudes. Jesus
Just make
Christ.
sure to
We're not doing that.
Include your zip code.
Don't scare them. Don't scare them. I'm not fucking doing that shit.
No, we got Victor Hockey hooked up some great hats, and then Fight Ugly, we've got some stuff that's coming out too that we're collaborating with. So really excited about that as we get closer to 2021. Excited about Doug Armstrong, too, and what the Blues will look like once they get back on the ice for this season.
Yeah.
Hopefully we see that very, very soon. And once again, we thank Doug Armstrong for joining us on this edition of the Cam and Strick Podcast. Check out www.camandstrick.com. All the latest. Have you missed an episode? What's your favorite episode? Let us know. And go back and listen to old episodes at www.camandstrick.com.